Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show Saturdays.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Mahiri Stewart.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
And in Nationwide News at this hour, scientists say Hurricane Melissa was more destructive due to human-induced climate change.
UNICEF says close to 300,000 children need humanitarian assistance as a result of Hurricane Melissa.
JMEA estimates that Hurricane Melissa left $250 billion in damage to some local manufacturers.
Industry Ministry formulating economic recovery plan for small businesses impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
What we're looking at is finding those business owners, see which ones are able to get back, which ones are vital for particular communities.
MP says rising water is affecting a number of communities in eastern Hanover.
In news from the rest of the world, U.S. Senate blocks resolution to block military action against Venezuela.
Thousands of flights cancelled or delayed in U.S. as air traffic control hit by government shutdown.
In headline sports, a leading Jamaican international sports star suffered major damage to his apartment during Hurricane Melissa, but is back in training.
And later in our broadcast, Friday, November 7, 2025, in our cover story at 5:35, the PSOJ, JMEA, and JCC have joined forces in an effort to provide relief in Western Jamaica following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. We'll hear from their presidents.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, are you in support of the erection of 10 schools in Melissa-hit parishes? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, several big hotels in St. Anne have shut their doors or have significantly scaled back operations in light of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. And at least one resort group in St. James has suspended operations at about 8 of its properties until next year. What other impact will Melissa have on the tourist industry? We'll hear from President of the Ocho Rios Craft Council, Devon Mitchell, and President of Juta's Kingston chapter, Noel Williams.
At 7, what impact has Hurricane Melissa had on animals and livestock? Founder of Negril Pup Rescue, Dominique Chapman, and Managing Director of the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Pamela Lawson, will tell us.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app, available on Google Play and the App Store this Friday afternoon, Friday, November 7, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Scientists from the University of the West Indies have joined an international team confirming that human-induced climate change significantly intensified Hurricane Melissa, making it far more destructive than it would have been in a pre-industrial climate. The findings come from a new rapid analysis by World Weather Attribution, WWA, a global scientific collaboration that investigates how climate change influences extreme weather events. Using data from Jamaica and eastern Cuba, the study found that the atmospheric and oceanic conditions fueling Melissa were made about 6 times more likely by climate change. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Hurricane Melissa struck the Caribbean in late October 2025, tearing across Jamaica, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. The storm's winds exploded from 68 to 140 miles per hour within 24 hours. It's a process of rapid intensification that scientists say is becoming increasingly frequent as global temperatures rise. To date, Melissa has left at least 75 people dead, displaced thousands, and caused billions of dollars in economic losses across the region. The World Weather Attribution (WWA) study was conducted by 20 researchers from universities and meteorological agencies across Jamaica, Cuba, Ireland, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Austria. Contributing UE scientists included Professor Michael Taylor, Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, Professor Tanisha Stevenson, Deputy Dean, climate researchers Dr. Jordan Jones, and Dr. Jayaka Campbell from the Mona campus. Using the Imperial College Storm Model IRIS, researchers examined rainfall, wind speeds, and environmental conditions that allowed Melissa to strengthen so quickly. The analysis concluded that climate change increased the storm's maximum wind speeds by 7%, and extreme rainfall by 16%. Historical data further shows that 5-day maximum rainfall totals in Jamaica and eastern Cuba are now between 20 and 50% higher than before industrialization. Dr. Jayaka Campbell described the findings as a stark warning for the Caribbean. He says it's the dangerous new reality of a warming world. He added that the conditions leading to Melissa's devastation have been building for decades. Co-author Friedrich Otto of the Center for Environmental Policy at Imperial College London warned that extreme storms are beginning to exceed human adaptation limits. The WWA report concludes that without major reductions in fossil fuel use, storms like Hurricane Melissa will become more frequent and devastating. The study also underscores the urgent need for investment in climate adaptation to protect vulnerable Caribbean communities. To date, World Weather Attribution has completed over 100 peer-reviewed studies showing that human-caused climate change is amplifying weather extremes worldwide. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
More than 280,000 children in Jamaica are in need of humanitarian assistance as a result of Hurricane Melissa. That's according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. On Friday, UNICEF stated that it has delivered more than 47,000 kilograms of relief supplies to support the recovery effort. These include collapsible water tanks, hygiene kits, safe drinking water, learning materials, and emergency shelter items. UNICEF's representative to Jamaica, Olga Isaza, says some 40,000 children have benefited from the relief efforts.
We are responsible for shipping the most relief and recovery items so far. We are so glad to be able to support the country in this way. More than 47,000 kilograms of supply have been brought in by air and by ship. And so far, we have been able to support near to 40,000 children in the country by deploying those kind of education kits, hygiene kits, water supplies, containers, and all the things that are needed right away. We are working hand in hand with the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Minister of Labor and Social Security to ensure that every single child is attended and is not left behind.
Olga Isaza, UNICEF's representative to Jamaica. The fund also provided water storage for over 4,000 people and education kits for 38,000 children. UNICEF says it has also partnered with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency to identify and reunite children separated from their families.
The Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, JMDA, is raising concern about the state of Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. The JMDA says recent reports issued by the Western Regional Health Authority and Cornwall Regional don't add up with the reality on the ground. It says reports from its members and its disaster response team indicate that Cornwall Regional is in a devastated state. The reports state that the hospital has severely degraded infrastructure, flooded wards, and a bed capacity reduced by more than 65%. It says patients, including pregnant women, are reportedly being accommodated on chairs due to a lack of beds. The JMDA says prior to the hurricane, conditions were already suboptimal. The association is urging the ministry to take immediate action to address the inconsistencies and outline a plan to restore safe and adequate working conditions at Cornwall Regional. JMDA President Dr. Renee Badreau has written to Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, calling for an urgent meeting with him on the state of healthcare in Western parishes.
The total estimated damage to some local manufacturers following the passage of Hurricane Melissa is $250 billion. That's according to the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA. In a release on Friday, JMEA says, based on its initial assessment, only 10% of the 600 companies under its membership are located in the most devastated parishes. The JMEA says the $250 billion loss is based on the reported impact on sales, infrastructure, and inventory. According to the association, courtesy calls were made to members in affected parishes. 41 members responded. Of these respondents, 12 companies reported minor disruptions and are expected to resume full operations once electricity is restored. 18 others experienced partial damage and are awaiting the restoration of critical utilities before resuming normal operations. The remaining 10 companies were severely impacted, resulting in a complete halt in production. The hardest hit sectors include manufactured foods and beverages, wood and furniture production, cosmetics and personal care, and primary agriculture. JMEA President Catherine Silvera says 80% of manufacturers have since resumed normal operations, particularly in parishes that were not directly affected. The JMEA also noted that to date, millions of dollars worth of goods have been procured from local manufacturers and delivered to the worst affected parishes.
Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill is seeking to have a plan to assist small businesses impacted by Hurricane Melissa in front of Cabinet no later than Monday. The plan is geared to bring local shops and shop fronts in the most heavily affected areas online in order to resume some level of economic activity and community support. Speaking with Nationwide News on Friday, Minister Hill says while the plan is still in the design phase, it will entail loans at attractive rates and other incentives to rapidly put small businesses back on firm footing. Dana Davey tells us more.
With the unprecedented toll exacted from Hurricane Melissa's passage, small businesses have not been spared their own suffering. According to Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill, as many as 8,000 such local entrepreneurs could be impacted in the areas most badly affected by the hurricane. His ministry has now set about the task of identifying those in need of aid.
When you go to St. Elizabeth, starting from, say, Treasure Beach to Black River, every business along that line is denuded. You just have to rebuild. So what we're looking at is finding those business owners. Luckily, we have, as I said, data on telephones and so on. See which ones are able to get back, which ones are vital for particular communities.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says it's important to bring local commerce back online in the heavily affected communities as a key link to restore normality. While praising the private sector for playing their part in bringing more large-scale operations up and running, He made it clear that smaller businesses cannot be left behind. Minister Hill says one key form of assistance is capital to resume commerce.
Our mandate is that, look, you have to get businesses back up so that, A, the community begins to have a center where people can go and buy their stuff. In order to do that, some will obviously need some assistance to buy back goods, merchandise. It's all gone. Some might have some working capital, some will not have working capital, but the community has to be back up. So we're going to work with the Exim Bank and DBJ, JBDC to see how we get funds back up to them to get onto their business. We're going to probably have to give them moratorium on interest for a while, and certainly a longer repayment period with substantial moratorium on any capital we give them to get their business back up.
Many of the communities impacted by Hurricane Melissa remain without electricity and have no access to automated banking as a result. The industry minister says they intend to work out a voucher system by which businesses and consumers can purchase goods. They're also in discussions with banks to secure generators for ATMs, which remain offline.
We will be looking at possibly other means, maybe vouchers, make sure cash money will get back into the hands of people who need them in businesses, and just like we did in the pandemic, and thank God for that experience, and burial last year, we will find ways to use vouchers to get money into people's hands, because ordinary people have to then be able to spend in the shops that we're trying to get back up and running.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news here on Nationwide at 5. More news after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offices in Mandeville and Mobay are closed until further notice. The Kingston office is operational. Rentokil Initial empathizes with our fellow Jamaicans as we rebuild Jamaica together. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The service support hub for the JPS Customer Care Center, located in Western Jamaica, is now back to normal operations. This means that in addition to other support channels, including the MyJPS app, self-service and web chat, customers are now able to call through to the Customer Care Center as before. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Continuing the news, the World Bank says Jamaica is set to receive the full payout of $150 million under its catastrophe insurance coverage following the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa. That's just over 24 billion Jamaican dollars. The bank made the disclosure in a media release on Friday. It says the insurance coverage is backed by a catastrophe bond issued in 2024. The World Bank says analysis carried out by a third-party agent concluded that Hurricane Melissa reached pre-agreed parametric triggers, qualifying for a full redemption of its catastrophe bond, which offers Jamaica financial protection against specified natural disasters. The World Bank says the payout underscores the role of catastrophe bonds in effective risk management strategies and their efficiency in transferring disaster risks to capital markets. It says in addition to the payout, a broad package of World Bank Group assistance will be mobilized to support Jamaica. Member of Parliament for Eastern Hanover, Andrea Perkis, says the communities of Forest, Lethe, and Chickwell in her constituency are in urgent need of attention due to rising water. She says the communities are inaccessible to persons seeking to bring in aid. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Hanover was one of the parishes worst affected by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Nearly 2 weeks after the passage of the Category 5 system, some communities in the western parishes that were directly impacted by Melissa remain flooded. MP for Eastern Hanover, Andrea Perkis, says this is the case in a number of communities in her constituency. In a series of videos posted to her social media pages, Ms. Perkis says Forest is one such community.
We're now in Forest. It's another community that has been affected by the water rising. I am particularly concerned for the residents all around the area because weather pattern has changed and the water is now taking on a different direction. So where the water usually stops, I am afraid it could go beyond those points.
The MP says the community of Chigwell has water levels so high that multiple communities cannot be accessed.
I am here today in Chigwell and it is just sadness all around. The danger is that the water is on both sides. There is no access to Hopewell from here, which is a main town. There is no access to Old Pen. Forest has been blocked out as well. We have areas going into Axonage to Mount Peter side cannot be accessed from here. We're in today with Jamaica Defence Force to see where a helicopter can land to bring in supplies for the residents.
She says residents of the community of Lethe are in need of airdrops as the roads are not suitable for certain vehicles.
I got information that the water rose above the level of the bridge. There's a lady that is here as well. She lost her home. The entire building is gone. The people of Lethe need some attention. Trucks can't come in, and so food must be airlifted to this space, to the Lethe Cops area. As a part of the road, like I mentioned earlier, has been damaged and no heavy unit can drive over that section.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The U.S. Senate has blocked a bipartisan resolution that sought to direct the removal of U.S. armed forces from unauthorized hostilities against Venezuela. A vote was held to discharge the Venezuela Hostilities Removal Resolution, which was introduced on October 16. It aimed to invoke the 1973 War Powers Resolution, which asserts that U.S. military action must be authorized by Congress. The motion failed to pass, with 49 senators voting in favor and 51 against. The vote came as the U.S. carried out at least 16 lethal boat strikes in the Caribbean, killing 66 people to date. The failed resolution argued that under the U.S. Constitution, only Congress has the authority to declare war.
More than 2,000 flights in the U.S. are cancelled or delayed on Friday after airlines were told to cut traffic during the government shutdown. The shutdown has entered day 38 as Republicans and Democrats continue the spending battle they've been fighting over the past few weeks. Because of the shutdown, thousands of federal workers are going without pay, including air traffic controllers. Domestic flights at 40 of the country's busiest airports will be affected as officials try to ease pressure on the workers. Airports have been grappling with air traffic controller shortages who are either calling in sick or taking side jobs. The Federal Aviation Administration says reductions will start at 4% of internal flights before rising to the full 10% by the end of next week. The administration warns that up to 4,000 flights per day could be affected. Several of the largest U.S. airlines are assuring customers they'll be able to get full refunds for the cancelled flights.
And the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, on Friday announced that it will pay for food benefits for more than 42 million Americans. This follows weeks of consternation and legal back and forth. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, also known as food stamps, has been at the center of the U.S. government shutdown, which has now entered its 38th day. A judge told the Trump administration it had to use contingency funding to feed the 1 in 8 Americans who depend on the program. But that funding could not cover the nearly $9 billion monthly price tag of the full program. Then on Thursday, a different judge said the Trump administration had to fully fund the program.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, scientists say Hurricane Melissa was more destructive due to human-induced climate change.
UNICEF says close to 300,000 children need humanitarian assistance as a result of Hurricane Melissa.
JMEA estimates that Hurricane Melissa left $250 billion in damage to some local manufacturers.
Industry Ministry formulating economic recovery plan for small businesses impacted by the hurricane.
I'm Mahiri Stewart.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The service support hub for the JPS Customer Care Center, located in Western Jamaica, is now back to normal operations. This means that in addition to other support channels, including the MyJPS app, self-service and web chat, customers are now able to call through to the Customer Care Center as before. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Attention PATH beneficiaries. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security understands that your family may have been affected by Hurricane Melissa. To ensure that no one is left behind, we have extended the October 2025 PATH payment cycle for an additional week. You may visit your payment location to collect your benefit up to November 11. If you experience difficulty due to closure of your assigned post office or payment location, please let us know. Call our Client Care Center 876-922-8013 or send us a WhatsApp message 876-582-8972. Together we'll recover, one family at a time. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the People's Ministry, leaving no one behind.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Kerry Lee Ricketts, who conditions world and Olympic medalists Shanika Ricketts and Tajay Gale, among others, says athletes under his care suffered badly during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Ricketts says though it's now 11 days since the hurricane, there's still a state of depression given the devastation it brought on, especially at his training base, St. Elizabeth Technical High School. Ricketts, who is a husband of Shanika, says the Olympic silver medalist is back in training along with a few of the Stets athletes he coaches, but it's not business as usual.
The facility has been damaged. There's a lot of work and repair needed. You know, the place looks like devastating. I mean, just coming to training and just seeing our environment and see what's around, you know, it's really depressing. But, you know, the work has to be done, you know what I mean? So we just basically come and just, you know, put in the work and try and focus.
Ricketts, who also coaches the Bethlehem Moravian College team, says the athletes started returning to training the Friday following Hurricane Melissa. However, 2019 world champion, that's a long jump champ, Tajay Gale, who secured bronze in Tokyo in September, is forced to train in Kingston away from the group because his apartment in St. Elizabeth was damaged. Ricketts says he also suffered personally, as did some of the Stets athletes.
Personally, a lot of things have been happening because, I mean, I lost my roof and other damages to my property. That is light compared to what other people have experienced. We have student athletes from Stets who basically staying in shelters. You have students from the school who basically have nowhere to live. I mean, and no money. I mean, we have been visiting a lot of student athletes and they're going to, like, you know, where they used to live. There's no longer, a house there. Some of them, the parents are basically farmers. You know, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, you know, there are farming areas. So, for example, we went to one of my jumpers' home. Her mama and dad basically raise chicken and they have cattle and they have like farm as well. And then guess what? They lose everything. So all the goats died, all the chickens died, and the farm is destroyed. And then on top of that, they lose the house. because they had a board house and the house is on the ground.
World-class jumps coach Kerry Lee Ricketts. Meanwhile, Jamaican long jumper Tisana Hicklin will take no part in the 2026 track and field season because of a personal reason. Jamaica's Mount Pleasant Academy will play the second leg of their CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship final at home. The St. Anne-based unit will play away to the Dominican Republic's Universidad O&M in the first leg on Tuesday, November 25 at the Estadio Cibao in Santo Domingo. The teams will then travel to Kingston on Tuesday, December 2 for the second leg at the National Stadium, where the championship will be decided. The final was confirmed on Thursday when Universidad defeated fellow Dominican Republic outfit Cibao by 1-0 to advance 2-1 in aggregate, while Mount Pleasant defeated Defense Force of Trinidad and Tobago 5-2 on aggregate. Coach Theodore Whitmore says the aim was always to get into the final of the championship, and now that they're there, he wants to go all the way.
I think the club deserve it. I think, as I said before, the ownership deserve it. We just have to take it one step further. Again, it's good for Mount Pleasant as a club and as a Jamaican team who represent the JPL to continue. Well, yes, as I said before, the objective remains the same. We want it to be in the final. Now we are in the final. Nothing changes. So again, it's for us to make one step further and do the club, the country proud.
That's Theodore Whitmore. And finally, in sports at this time, Real Madrid's midfield star Jude Bellingham is back in the England squad for the World Cup qualifying games in the November international window. England head coach Thomas Tuchel made the revelation ahead of the announcement of the squad. Bellingham was left out of the squad for the last international window, with Tuchel citing concern with his attitude. However, the German says Bellingham is back and in a new position.
Jude comes back as a number 10 position. I think that's his best position, and I think one of his key strengths is to score from this position, and he has the ability to arrive and to score goals that a number 9 would score.
Bellingham will now be available for games against Serbia on November 13 and against Albania 5 days later. England has already qualified for next year's World Cup to be co-hosted by Mexico, the USA, and Canada. In fact, England is the only team from Europe to qualify for the World Cup so far. Quite a few more we're expecting to qualify in the next window, which will be next week, Tuesday, and the Tuesday following that. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocho Rios to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The service support hub for the JPS Customer Care Center, located in Western Jamaica, is now back to normal operations. This means that in addition to other support channels, including the MyJPS app, self-service, and web chat, customers are now able to call through to the Customer Care Center as before. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Ho, ho, ho! And what would you like for Christmas?
A paint tough enough for my messy grandkids. Perfect color matching for my living room.
Paint that covers in fewer coats, A finish that stands up to sun or rain,
BH Paints has you covered. Now up to 25% off.
Be one of the first 200 monthly to register on championsofcolor.com and get a free gallon of BH New Ultimate Advanced Formula. No purchase required.
All I want for Christmas is BH Paints.
Discounts available at BH Paint stores and participating hardwares.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Welcome, welcome. It's another episode of Nationwide at 5 as we continue our program for this evening. And of course, I'm here with you until 8 p.m. I'm Professor Donna Hope, and with me I have my co-host.
Top of the afternoon to you, Professor Hope, and top of the afternoon to our listeners and our viewers. I'm Tyrone Reed.
Welcome, Tyrone. I'm good to see you, Tyrone, and haven't seen you
Likewise.
since Melissa. So good to see you. Yes.
Likewise, and I trust you came through the passage of the hurricane well.
We did, and I give thanks and looking forward to continuing
Indeed.
the work with others who have been severely affected.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we have a lot lined up this evening, and we're going to go first of all to our cover story this evening, focusing of course on the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, the relief and recovery. And so we are going to be talking through what is happening in some of those areas. Multiple private sector groups have joined forces in an effort to provide relief in Western Jamaica following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The groups are the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, and the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC.
A private sector response, listeners, viewers, center, a private sector response center, has been established to coordinate donations and logistics in order to serve as a bridge between international aid agencies, the government, and the affected communities. The private sector says its goal in the next 30 days is to get life-saving essentials into the hands of as many affected families as possible.
The private sector has also collaborated with the Council of Voluntary Social Services, CVSS, to collect donations. And so to discuss this further, we are being joined by the President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Metri Siaga, the President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, Catherine Silvera, and the President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, Emile Leiber. Good evening, gentlemen and lady. Good evening.
Top of the afternoon to all of you. Welcome to Nationwide.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening. And we want to talk a little bit about some of the Hurricane Melissa relief efforts. So I'm going to throw out a couple questions, and I'm going to start with you, Metri Siaga. I've been seeing a lot of conversations in the media regarding the role of the PSOJ and other entities. What are the main priorities of the private sector relief effort at this time?
Well, right now, as in your lead up, it said, is that our focus is saving lives, getting food, medicine, shelter to people who are in the most affected areas. And at the end of that process, we can start to look about how we can rebuild the economy. But right now, it's about saving lives and the relief that we can give.
And we're told that you have set up the Private Sector Response Center. What is that center playing in coordinating the relief and logistics at this time?
Well, first of all, I want to thank my two colleagues on the call who, from day one, have jumped on board with us, been a part of the process, have put all their resources behind what we are doing. And I think it shows that in times of crisis, we all can come together. And what our role is all-encompassing. We have been, between the three of us, we have probably been at every single meeting, every day, 7 days a week since Melissa passed, ensuring that the people that need the help get it, coordinating sometimes the smallest of things. We get messages from all over the country identifying where people are, who needs help, helping people to get product in, helping people to get supplies in, helping aid agencies, and liaising with the government, most of all, to make sure that the resources that they have and that they're getting are used as wisely as possible.
Let me bring Catherine Silvera into the conversation here. Ms. Silvera, in terms of the JMEA's role in what we are describing here as this grouping of private sector entities that have come together with this Private Sector Response Center. What is the role of the JMEA that they've been playing so far, and how else do you see that you can assist in terms of the country's road to recovery and, of course, the relief efforts as well?
So our role has been two-pronged. Firstly, as a JMEA, we are focusing on making contact with our manufacturers and exporters to assess and get an opinion from them on how their factories and their staffing and their materials have gone through the storm. And we've been doing that on a daily basis, making contact. Of course, our members, about 10% of them, are located in the devastated parishes, and so it has been challenging to get in touch with them to get a fair assessment of what has happened to them. On a second prong, with our association with the JCC and the PSOJ, is that we have really been spearheading the communication with government procurement and to making sure that business is still happening and coming through our local manufacturers and distributors to get even more relief and aid, one being purchased at a very low cost, and also businesses are matching that with donations.
Thank you.
Emile Leiber, you'd like to comment on that in terms of the JCC's role in all of this?
Yes, thanks. So I mirror what my colleagues have said in terms of the collaborative efforts. So one of the things we're trying to do is help to map out, the affected areas, the pain points that are happening on the ground each day in terms of what are the blockages in a particular area, how can we best channel some of these concerns that are coming throughout the private sector from individuals and get those concerns kind of to the right place, because there's a lot of general cries of me, I need help, but that help can take many different forms. And so while we are by no means attempting to usurp any public sector roles, we are trying to help to facilitate and streamline and organize, particularly also in the realm of donations from individual members of our respective organizations to help to compile and participate in relief packages.
And in a lot of ways, this private sector response center, JME, Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and the PSOJ, you're doing a lot of work with this relief effort. What are you using? What strategies are you using to ensure transparency and accountability in the distribution of the donations and the supplies in this relief effort? Because there's a lot of questions around these areas. Metri Siaga, Emil Leiber, could you, and Catherine Sylvia, could you give us a response? Yes.
Sure. Listen, there is no doubt that there are going to be questions about where aid has gone when so much aid is coming in. And right now, our objective is to ensure that all the aid that can go to the affected areas is going there. Now, I don't tell you that we are watching every dollar and watching every single can of bully beef that is given to us and every bottle of water. But what I can tell you is that the JMEA has sacrificed its executive director and put her in place at the JDF on a full-time basis to monitor and to work with the government, work with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, work with the JDF to make sure that what comes in goes out to the right areas. We have, at the PSOJ, we have done a mapping process where we have identified the most in-need communities, and we are directly in touch with the JDF that are doing the transportation of these goods as to ensure that they're going to the right places. I think what we have to do in a tragedy like this is to change our mindset from trying to watch every single dollar into making sure that we do the best we can with what we have.
And we need to take a quick break, Metri Siaga, and colleagues, we just need to take a break, so stay with us and we'll be right back.
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45 p.m.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living.
Attention PATH beneficiaries. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security understands that your family may have been affected by Hurricane Melissa. To ensure that no one is left behind, we have extended the October 2025 PATH payment cycle for an additional week. You may visit your payment location to collect your benefit up to November 11. If you experience difficulty due to closure of your assigned post office or payment location, please let us know. Call our Client Care Center 876-922-8013 or send us a WhatsApp message 876-582-8972. Together we'll recover, one family at a time. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the People's Ministry, leaving no one behind.
NHD contributors. If you recently applied for housing solutions in Howard Avenue, Vineyard Town, and Malvern Developments, the results of the application will be published in the newspaper this Sunday, November 9. That's this Sunday, November 9, for the results of the applications for NHD solutions in Howard Avenue, Vineyard Town, and Malvern Housing Developments. Contributors may also visit www.nhd.gov.jm for more details.
Attention Megamart Montego Bay team members. The Megamart family would like to know if you are safe and well. Please join us for an important meeting at Megamart Montego Bay on Friday, November 14, 2025 at 10 a.m. If you are a family member or friend of a Megamart Montego Bay team member, please help us in getting this message to them. Thank you and stay safe.
Welcome back Nationwide at 5. We're in our cover story talking, of course, about the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa and the relief and recovery efforts through the private sector and the kind of support that they are giving. And we're talking, of course, with the president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Metri Siaga, the president of the Jamaica Manufacturers Association, Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Catherine Silvera, and the president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Emile Leiber. And my co-host, of course, is here with us, so we'll continue the conversation. Before the break, we were speaking with Metri Siaga, giving a response about the transparency
and accountability,
which has been a question, and not just in the formal circles, but we see it all over social media and elsewhere. People keep asking, and Metri, your response plugs into a lot of what many persons are saying, getting the relief out in the best way possible and putting persons in place from your organization to continue with the relief effort. Yes.
Right. Did I hear you say, Mr. Metri Siaga, that the JMEA president has been sent to the JDF to be a part of that oversight team?
No, it's our executive director, Kamisha Blake.
Oh, the executive director.
There almost every day this week, and even again tomorrow. I just spoke with her before our interview started.
So she's acting as a liaison.
There is some kind of private sector oversight in the distribution process.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. As I said before, we are also coordinating purchase through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security with our memberships, our conjoined memberships. And so she's also there to ensure that the items are delivered, and most of them are truckloads and container loads. They're being delivered, they're being signed off for, and they're being entered into the system.
We are also told that the CVSS, the Council of Voluntary Social Services, has partnered with your private sector group to strengthen the response. Can you give us an idea of how this is working and how effective it has been so far?
I think they've been very effective. They put out a call for volunteers immediately, and they've had over 4,500 sign-ups, and they've been allocating them across a lot of these relief and NGOs. So I know they've been giving volunteers to Food for the Poor, to JDF, and personally at PSOJ as well, because PSOJ, all of our organizations have told our members that individual donations should be delivered to our offices, and so the volunteers are coordinating with us to then end up giving them to JDF.
I'm gonna put all of you on the spot here, and let me just ask you, in terms of, can you give the country an assessment of the political response to this catastrophic Category 5 hurricane that we've never seen anything like this before? So, in my estimation, reading of things, missteps will be made. But so far, as the leaders of industries, the captains of industries, what is your assessment of the political response to the catastrophe so far? Beginning with you, Emile Leiber.
And before we go into the responses, we had lost Metri Siaga and Emile Leiber. I think Emile Leiber is back now. I'm not sure if he heard the full question that you asked. Yes.
Emile Leiber, did you hear us, or do I need to repeat?
So you're asking what was our view of the political response?
Response to the how would you grade it so far?
Well, let me put it straight. Certainly, Senator Keith Duncan has been with us almost from the start. He was appointed very early on in the process by the Prime Minister, and he has been working literally hand in hand with us since almost the commencement. So to that extent, I think the collaborative aspects between the public and private sector, has been an A+. Yes, there have been other areas that have been, let's put it this way, getting their minds wrapped around things, and perhaps some things could have gone a bit faster, but I think the collaboration has been good between the public and private sector.
Catherine Silvera and Metrosiaga in that order?
I am going to agree with Emil that we have had some, teething pains, but I think that it's been smoothed out, and we've seen such great efforts being made by different members of the government and even the opposition to make, and with private sector, and we've been having a very collaborative approach.
Metrosiaga?
Yeah, Tyrone, listen, there is no country in the world that experiences a disaster like we did that doesn't make mistakes. So has the government made mistakes? I'm sure they have. Will we find things that we could do better next time? I'm sure we will. However, I think all in all, and overall grade for the government is that they have done a good job so far. I hope that they will learn from their mistakes and get it even better the next time. But the fact is that we had an airport open within 48 hours. We had an airport that took a Category 5 hit open in 72 hours. We have had gas trucks on the road. We have had 80% of the country has light, 80% of the country has internet. This is a storm that was bigger than the size of the whole country.
Yes.
So and we took a direct hit. So I think we have to give them some props for the work that they have done. But I want nobody to rest on their laurels, and the rest of the Caribbean needs to take note of this. And we as a country need to realize that if that storm had hit us and I had passed through Kingston, it would be a different position today. And we have got
to agree with you on that.
Prepare for that. And as a country, as a region, we have to come together and prepare for a Category 5 storm to demolish our brain center. And if we don't do that, we could be in big trouble.
And indeed, Metrosiaga, what you're also saying, what you all three of you are saying, is that we have to build out a blueprint from what is happening here now on the ground to assist us for the future. We do not wish to have any more catastrophes of this sort, but to prepare in case there are any, we can use the blueprints that are now being rolled out.
And that becomes particularly more important because the climate scientists are telling us that this might be the new normal.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And to that end, I'd like you to know that we have started the process as recently as today. We got the funding from our private sector donor to do a live map tracking of everything that's happening, and more about that to come.
We look forward.
We guarantee that the private sector is going to continue to work together to make and build back a better, stronger Jamaica.
Indeed. And as we are coming towards the end of the segment, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot happening in terms of relief, supplies moving out of Kingston, St. Andrew, and these areas into the most affected areas. Can the local manufacturers meet the current demand for relief supplies, or will we have to import, bring in import supplies into Jamaica? Because a lot happening.
Currently, I think we are able to meet it, and I think it's really just, all of us, we knew Christmas was coming, and so a lot of manufacturers had excess stock, because coming out of COVID, logistics and shipping has always been challenging, and so we have built our inventories. May there be a lull at some point? Yes, there might, because this is an extreme run on our resources at this time, but a lot of us are very prepared and able to import those raw materials in quick order.
This will take some amount of. This is a marathon and not a sprint. It's perhaps the best sporting analogy that we can use in terms of the road to recovery. The private sector entities represented here, you're all in it for the long haul. Beginning with you, Emil Leiber. It will take lots of elbow grease, a lot of mental acuity as well. This is a long-term project to really get Jamaica to where it needs to be. The commitment is there from the private sector to stick it out, yes?
Definitely. The private sector is an indelible part of Jamaica and all aspects of Jamaica, east and west, north and south. So, it's for the benefit of all Jamaicans that we work together to build back better, build back as quickly as possible, and strengthen our economy and, keep on a growth path. So, yes, we are definitely in it for the long haul. So even after the international donors and community has left, we will still be here working together.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And of course, we know that many companies are on board, and we are coming to the end of the segment, but are there any ways that other companies in the private sector can contribute to the effort if they haven't done so? And that's the final comment we can have. Yes.
Well, just add, we sent out communications to our individual members about how they could donate both in cash and in kind. But you don't have to be a member of the Chamber, the PSOJ, or the GMA to donate. So we have set up an account that is, we partnered with a charity, CVSS, and so all cash donations that come in will be used to purchase items without GCT, and it will go directly towards the relief efforts. So, you're still free to contribute, and you'll be happy to make that information available after the segment so that anyone who wants to contribute through the joint efforts of the Chamber of Commerce, PSOJ, and JMA are free to do so as well.
We could ask you to hold on and leave that information with our producer, because we do have to go for the news at 6, which we are right upon the break.
I just want to say quickly that you can also drop off your relief supplies to the PSOJ Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We are taking anything that you have, canned goods, water, clothes, etc.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Toiletries, anything.
Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you. And we have to
before
go to the break.
You close
yes.
the segment off. People are, and I'm seeing it from multiple people now, but in the chat, asking if we can find out what's happening with the traffic in the Mona area that they've been trying to leave the community.
I live in that area, and we will find out and get more information.
Right.
It has been a lot of work together, but we are up on the
Mm.
break, and so we do have to take the break for the news. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Scientists from the University of the West Indies, UWI, have joined an international team in confirming that human-induced climate change significantly intensified Hurricane Melissa, making it far more destructive than it would have been in a pre-industrial climate. The findings come from a new rapid analysis by World Weather Attribution, WWA, a global scientific collaboration that investigates how climate change influences extreme weather events. The storm's winds exploded from 68 to 140 miles per hour within 24 hours. It's a process of rapid intensification that scientists say is becoming increasingly frequent as global temperatures rise. The WWA study was conducted by 20 researchers from universities and Met agencies across Jamaica, Cuba, Ireland, the Netherlands, the UK, the US, and Austria. The analysis concluded that climate change increased the storm's maximum wind speeds by 7% and extreme rainfall by 16%. Historical data further shows that 5-day maximum rainfall totals in Jamaica and eastern Cuba are now between 20 and 50% higher than before industrialization. More than 280,000 children in Jamaica are in need of humanitarian assistance as a result of Hurricane Melissa. That's according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. On Friday, UNICEF stated that it has delivered more than 47,000 kilograms of relief supplies to support the recovery efforts. These include collapsible water tanks, hygiene kits, safe drinking water, learning materials, and emergency shelter items. UNICEF's representative to Jamaica, Olga Esaza, says some 40,000 children have benefited from the relief efforts.
We are responsible for shipping the most relief and recovery items so far. We are so glad to be able to support the country in this way. More than 47,000 kilograms of supply have been brought in by air and by ship. And so far, we have been able to support near to 40,000 children in the country by deploying those kind of education kits, hygiene kits, water supplies, containers, and all the things that are needed right away. We are working hand in hand with the Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Minister of Labor and Social Security to ensure that every single child is attended and is not left behind.
That's Olga Esaza, UNICEF's representative to Jamaica. Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill is seeking to have a plan to assist small businesses impacted by the hurricane in front of Cabinet no later than Monday. The plan is geared to bring local shops and shop fronts in the most heavily affected areas online in order to resume some level of economic activity and community support. According to the industry minister, as many as 8,000 such local entrepreneurs could be impacted in the areas most affected by the hurricane. His ministry has now set about the task of identifying those in need of aid.
When you go to St. Elizabeth, starting from, say, Treasure Beach to Black River, every business along that line is denuded. You just have to rebuild. So what we're looking at is finding those business owners. Luckily, we have, as I said, data on telephones and so on. See which ones are able to get back, which ones are vital for particular communities.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says it's important to bring local commerce back online in the heavily affected communities as a key link to restore normality. While praising the private sector for playing their part in bringing more large-scale operations up and running, he made it clear that smaller businesses cannot be left behind. Minister Hill says one key form of assistance is capital to resume commerce.
Our mandate is that, look, you have to get businesses back up so that, A, the community begins to have a center where people can go and buy their stuff. In order to do that, some would obviously need some assistance to buy back goods, merchandise. It's all gone. Some might have some working capital, some will not have working capital, but the community has to be back up. So we're going to work with the Exim Bank and DBJ, JBDC to see how we get funds back up to them to get onto their business. We're going to probably have to give them moratorium on interest for a while and certainly a longer repayment period with substantial moratorium on any capital we give them to get their business back up.
Senator Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The World Bank says Jamaica is set to receive the full payout of $150 million under its catastrophe insurance coverage following the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa. That's just over 24 billion Jamaican dollars. The bank made the disclosure in a media release on Friday. It says the insurance coverage is backed by a catastrophe bond issued in 2024. The bank says analysis carried out by a third-party agency concluded that Hurricane Melissa reached pre-agreed parametric triggers, qualifying for a full redemption of its catastrophe bond, which offers Jamaica financial protection against specified natural disasters. The World Bank says the payout underscores the role of catastrophe bonds in effective risk management strategies and their efficiency in transferring disaster risks to capital markets. It says in addition to the payout, a broad package of World Bank Group assistance will be mobilized to support Jamaica. Member of Parliament for Eastern Hanover, Andrea Perkis, says the communities of Forest, Lethe and Chigwell in her constituency are in urgent need of attention due to rising water. In a series of videos posted to her social media pages, Ms. Perkis says Forest is one such community.
We're now in Forest. It's another community that has been affected by the water rising. I am particularly concerned for the residents all around the area because weather pattern has changed and the water is now taking on a different direction. So where the water usually stops, I am afraid it could go beyond those points.
She says the residents of the community of Lethe are in need of airdrops as the roads are not suitable for certain vehicles.
I got information that the water rose above the level of the bridge. There's a lady that is here as well. She lost her home. The entire building is gone. The people of Lethe need some attention. Trucks can't come in, and so food must be airlifted to this space, to the Lethe Cops area. As a part of the road, like I mentioned earlier, has been damaged and no heavy unit can drive over that section.
That's Andrea Perkis, MP for Eastern Hanover. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
That could be your brand new 2026 Beijing X55 SUV for just $2,500. It's the JSSE's first ever car raffle. Grab your tickets at Fontana, York Pharmacy, Fesco, Mothers, Bosworth, Supreme Ventures, or online at jsseja.com or caribtix.com. Entry ends November 29, grand draw December 11, 2025. Proceeds support JSSE projects. Learn more at jsse.jamstockex.com. Approved by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Rev up your Christmas for just $2,500.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
Attention Megamart Montego Bay team members. The Megamart family would like to know if you are safe and well. Please join us for an important meeting at Megamart Montego Bay on Friday, November 14, 2025 at 10 a.m. If you are a family member or friend of a Megamart Montego Bay team member, please help us in getting this message to them. Thank you and stay safe.
NHD contributors. If you recently applied for housing solutions in Howard Avenue, Vineyard Town, and Malvern developments, the results of the application will be published in the newspaper this Sunday, November 9. That's this Sunday, November 9, for the results of the applications for NHD solutions in Howard Avenue, Vineyard Town, and Malvern housing developments. Contributors may also visit www.nhd.gov.jm for more details.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The service support hub for the JPS Customer Care Center, located in Western Jamaica, is now back to normal operations. This means that in addition to other support channels, including the My JPS app, self-service, and web chat, customers are now able to call through to the Customer Care Center as before. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Kerry Lee Ricketts, who conditions world and Olympic medalists Shanika Ricketts and Tajay Gale, amongst others, says athletes under his care suffered badly during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Ricketts says though it's now 11 days since the hurricane, they're still in a state of depression given the devastation it brought on, especially at his training base, St. Elizabeth Technical High School. Ricketts, who is the husband of Shanika, says the Olympic silver medalist is back in training along with a few of these test athlete coaches, but he says it can't be business as usual.
the facility has been damaged. There's a lot of work and repair needed. You know, the place looks like devastating. I mean, just coming to training and just seeing our environment and see what's around, you know, it's really depressing. But, you know, the work has to be done, you know what I mean? So we just basically come and just, you know, put in the work and try and focus.
Ricketts, who also coaches the Bethlehem Moravian College team, says the athletes started returning to training the Friday following the hurricane. However, 2019 World Long Jump champion Tajay Gale, who secured bronze in Tokyo in September, is forced to train in Kingston away from the training group as his apartment in St. Elizabeth was damaged. Ricketts says he also suffered personally, as did some of these test athletes.
Personally, a lot of things have been happening because, I mean, I lost my roof and other damages to my property. That is light comparing to what other people have experienced. We have student athletes from states who basically staying in shelters. You have students from the school who basically have nowhere to live, I mean, and no money. I mean, we have been visiting a lot of student athletes and they're going to, like, you know, where they used to live. There's no longer, a house here. Some of them, the parents are basically farmers. You know, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, you know, there are farming areas. So, for example, we went to one of my jumpers' home. Her mama and dad basically raise chicken and they have cattle and they have like farm as well. And then guess what? They lose everything. So all the goats died, all the chickens died, and the farm is destroyed. And then on top of that, they lose the house because they had a board house and the house is on the ground.
That's world-class jumps coach Kerry Lee Ricketts. Meanwhile, Jamaican long jumper Tisana Hicklin will take no part in the 2026 track and field season because of a personal reason. Jamaica's Mount Pleasant Academy will play the second leg of the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship final at home. The St. Anne-based unit will play away to the Dominican Republic's Universidad O&M in the first leg on Tuesday, November 25 at the Estadio Cibao in Santo Domingo. The teams will then travel into Kingston for their December 2 second leg at the National Stadium where the championship will be decided. The final was confirmed on Thursday after Universidad defeated the fellow Dominican Republic's Cibao by 1-0 to advance 2-1 on aggregate, while Mount Pleasant Academy defeated Defense Force of Trinidad and Tobago 5-2 on aggregate. Coach Theodore Whitmore says the aim was always to get into the final, but now that they're there, he wants to go all the way.
I think the club deserve it. I think, as I said before, the ownership deserve it. We just have to take it one step further. Again, it's good for Mount Pleasant as a club and as a Jamaican team who represent the JPL to continue. Well, yes, as I said before, the objective remains the same. We want it to be in the final. Now we are in the final. Nothing changes. So again, it's for us to make one step further and do the club, the country proud.
That's Theodore Whitmore. Jonathan David of Canada and Michele Domini of Haiti are the CONCACAF male and female footballers of the year. Jonathan is now the second Canadian to win the award following the footsteps of Alphonso Davies. David is Canada's all-time leading goal scorer with 36 goals from 76 appearances. For Domini, she became the second woman to win the CONCACAF Women's Champions Player of the Year more than once and in consecutive seasons behind the USA's Alex Morgan. Arsenal's outstanding run in the English Premier League will be tested on Saturday when they meet one of the surprise packages of the season so far, Sunderland. In one of 5 games on the schedule, the Gunners will look to extend their 8-match unbeaten run and 8 matches in a row without conceding a goal, while the 4th-place team, Sunderland, they're aiming to stretch their own unbeaten record to 4. Mikel Arteta, head coach of the Arsenal team, says every game in a very competitive EPL is geared towards winning the title.
Everything, because you learn from your team every single day, from your players every single day, from the opponents that you play every single time, and that's information that is so valuable for us. And tomorrow is going to be a different game to Tuesday, very different game to Tuesday and the week before. So we need to read it. We need to understand very early what the game requires, what we have to do to be better than them, and hopefully beat them. Well, as you said, every weekend is crucial. There are weekends that for other possible results or other games maybe that are a little bit more important, but at the end you need to just conquer a certain amount of points.
That's Arsenal's coach Mikel Arteta. Regis Lebris, the man who has turned Sunderland's fortunes around, says he's aware of Arsenal's ability, especially from set plays.
They are a really strong side, one of the best teams in Europe at the minute, I think. Well coached, top player quality, great experience, great ambition. So it will be a big challenge, exciting challenge. And I think this is exactly what we want to do. We want to learn from the best, and will be a good test for us. They can score in different phases. This one is really specific, and it will be interesting.
That's Regis Lebris, who is the coach of Sunderland. However, the pick of the bunch on Sunday is the early kick-off, the game between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, to be played in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Real Madrid's midfield star Jude Bellingham is back in the England squad for World Cup qualifying games in the November international window. England head coach Thomas Tuchel made the revelation ahead of the release of the squad. Bellingham was left out of the squad for the last international window, with Tuchel citing concern with his attitude. However, the German says Bellingham is back and in a new position.
Jude comes back as a number 10 position. I think that's his best position, and I think one of his key strengths is to score from this position, and he has the ability to arrive and to score goals that a number 9 would score.
Bellingham will now be available for games against Serbia on November 13 and against Albania 5 days later. England has already qualified for the 2026 World Cup finals to be co-hosted by Mexico, Canada, and the USA. In fact, the English are the only team from Europe to qualify for the World Cup so far. Members of the West Indies team, they traveled today from the Auckland area over into Nelson to get ready for the third T20 International against New Zealand. That game is tomorrow, Saturday, and it starts at 7:15 p.m. Jamaica time. The series is tied up at 1 apiece, with the Kiwis winning game 2 on Thursday by a close 3-run margin. And all-rounder Romario Shepherd says he's looking forward to see what Nelson has in the offing.
We all know how good the wickets are in New Zealand, and there's small boundaries and stuff like that, so you have to actually be on the ball each and every ball you bowl and each and every ball you bat, because 200 is not enough anymore in T20 cricket these days. So new venue, new challenge, so hopefully we can actually start well in that venue like we started well on last night here.
Yeah, that's Romario Shepherd, the West Indies all-rounder. Game 4 will also be played in Nelson, and that is on Sunday before the 5th and final game next Wednesday in Dunedin. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
It's undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
You're like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Special good evening to our wonderful, wonderful YouTubers. We invite you to also weigh in live on today's Public Opinion. All right, so we're talking about tent schools today, temporary schools, schools for people in Western Jamaica that have suffered the worst of Hurricane Melissa last week. The Education Ministry says it will probably be erecting temporary tent schools in those western parishes worst affected by the hurricane. Portfolio Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says the government is in the process of identifying spaces for these schools.
In the affected parishes, we have a little bit over 450 that have been affected, and that's infant schools, primary schools, secondary schools, 8 tertiary schools. So far, we've seen estimates of 616 institutions having some kind of damage. As we're looking at temporary shelter for people, we're also looking at temporary school structures, because we may have to use tents. And I've already spoken to Keith, and I've said to him, while you're doing that, look for spaces that could house a temporary school structure. But really, for us, our goal is to get as many schools back.
She says students who need to sit external examinations are a priority.
What we're going to do is to prioritize children doing exams, whether it's external in relation to CXC or CAPE, or if it is PEP exam. So while I was in St. Elizabeth, the principals were saying that they are getting schools back. It may take a while to get everybody in, but the priority was for those who are doing PEP and those who are doing CXC and CAPE.
That's Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon. JISA, the Jamaica Independent Schools Association, also made announcements that they too are looking at constructing some temporary school solutions for those in the western parishes. So today in Public Opinion, we ask you, are you in support of the erection of tent schools in Melissa hit parishes? Let's take a look at what folks are saying on Instagram. Bad Barbs 93 says, yes, get the kids back in school, especially CXC and PEP children. Lil Mario JA says, I support it as an urgent temporary solution. Mish the Gemini says yes, or retrofitted containers. Mel Moiston says yes. Nikki Official 101 says totally agree. It's not like it's permanent. For Michael says this is necessary to avoid learning loss, and the face-to-face does help with the children's mental health too. Prince Money Unstoppable says yes. Prudence, some of these names are crazy now. Prudence Ramiki says yes. Mind and Heart 25 says yes, let them not fall behind despite the current situation. Yes, get the kids back to focus on being kids, and being around their peers can help mentally. It's Jalicia giving us a comment on Instagram. Dimalia Matthews says yes, the country needs to move forward. JBJB 2018 says yes, educating the children must continue. Burke says yes, they have durable circus tents and church tents, so why not school tents and chipped portable toilets so they don't steal them? Do what has to be done, yeah, says Niceness Gray. Malibu says yes, please. Natty Ed Pickney says of course. Education must continue at all costs. To delay will only create a dunce society. And finally, Chris Duncan 758 says, yes, we have to get them back in sort of learning environment. Can't afford for these kids to become foolish. There we go. So let's take a look at what the YouTubers are saying before we go over to another social media platform. If I check the comments, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I'm seeing one from Erica Bennett. I'm seeing one from Culture. I'm seeing 10 schools, of course, and time to ban grade 6 leaving exams like Pep says Brick Road. And Josephine says, I was thinking about that long before the minister said it. Simone Nicola 5856 says, definitely the soon the better. There we go. What else do we have here in the comments? What do we have here in the comments? How many of these can I read? Someone was asking me earlier why I was wearing a scarf. It wasn't my scarf. It was Professor Hope's. She left it on the chair, so I put it on as a joke. But it's not my scarf. I'm not really a scarf person. It's not that cold in here, personally. All right, what else we have here? So yeah, Simone Nicola, as I read earlier, said definitely the sooner the better. So it seems as though... Oh, here we go. Erica Bennett says, yes, as it also provides a safe space for the children and for positive interactions with peers and school stakeholders. So that's what we have so far on YouTube. Let's take a look at another social media platform and see what kind of answers we can get out of the public when we go over to Facebook. And we ask the folks over on Facebook, what do they say? I'll tell you exactly what they say. Here we are. So, public opinion, we ask, what's your reaction, or are you in support of tent schools in Melissa hit parishes? And the first comment is Maury McCarth that says yes. Who says yes, rather? If we can have field hospitals, we can have field schools. Carlington Bartley says half a loaf of bread is better than none. It's back to basics, simple common sense. Rainus Faith Marsh says, in an effort to negotiate, what's this? Netigate. I don't think that's the word. Against any further learning loss, I support any safe space to accommodate learning. Facilities must be learning friendly and hygienic with at least one hot meal per student. All right, so someone is saying, will the tents have generators, porta potties, hand wash sinks, Starlinks, water tank, and a school feeding program? These things will need to be built in. Hungry students cannot learn. All right. Philip Jackson says, we must work with what we have and from where we are until we get what we want. Let us be grateful. Barbara Haynes Smith says, yes, it is only for short term. Audley Phillips says, anything in order to return some semblance of normalcy. The show must go on. Doreen Lewis says, yes, the children need to go back to school somewhere, somehow. Tiana says, those tents should be given to people who are homeless. I disagree with this move. Some people in government are too insensitive. Anthony Shakes says, if that's the best that can be done for right now, then yes. George Elliott says, absolutely. Any port for a storm, literally. There's no alternative anyways. Natalie Winter says, yes, go a step forward. Mobile schools in the communities on the weekend would help. And Marvin says, I prefer prefab containers. Those are real cheap in China. All right, folks, do we have anything else in the YouTube chat? I see Mikkel saying, yes, the key is ensuring these temporary structures are safe and include proper support services for students. What else do we have here? Yeah, that's what we got so far, man. So it seems as though people are in support of the tent schools being used or are to be used to educate children that live in parishes that may not have any schools left to go to. You know, a lot of damage across the western end of the island, as we heard from the Prime Minister in Parliament this week. Minister Morris Dixon also made us know that in terms of western parishes, there are a lot of schools that are damaged, may not be in the correct, space to welcome students back, and that seems to be a big challenge for students doing external exams, and even students who aren't doing external exams still need to learn, still need to be following their syllabus. So very interesting situation, very unprecedented situation going on right now in the western end of the island, and hopefully one day we can get back to normalcy and get everything back to how it was before. But until then, we just have to keep contributing in any way we can. But anyways, folks, that's public opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. Let's go to the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:32. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Spirit Airlines said on Friday it has reached tentative deals with unions representing its pilots and flight attendants that would involve some contract concessions as the carrier tries to rein in costs as part of its ongoing Chapter 11 restructuring process. The airline said its senior leadership has also agreed to take salary reductions at a percentage not less than that of the pilot group once a tentative agreement is ratified. Earlier this year, the ultra-low-cost carrier filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection for the second time as it grappled with dwindling cash reserves and mounting losses. As part of a broader cost-cutting initiative, Spirit has been shedding jobs, trimming routes, and scaling back operations in an effort to stabilize its finances and emerge from bankruptcy. On Wednesday, the company disclosed it had eliminated approximately 150 salaried positions and would discontinue its services at 5 airports, including Milwaukee and Phoenix. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will consider allowing Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban to buy Russian oil in an exemption from sanctions aimed at helping to end the Ukraine war. Speaking on Friday during Orban's visit to the White House, Trump said an allowance might be made because it's very difficult for him being Orban, to get the oil and gas from other areas. The comments come after the U.S. effectively blacklisted 2 of Russia's largest oil companies last month, threatening sanctions on those that buy from them. Following the meeting, Hungary's foreign minister wrote on X that the U.S. had given Budapest, quote, a full and unlimited exemption from sanctions on oil and gas, end quote. Trump added that while Hungary faced unique logistical challenges, including access to a sea that could be used to drill oil, he was very disturbed by other European countries that he said continued to buy Russian commodities despite not being landlocked. Orban, who is one of Trump's closest allies in Europe and who has long resisted EU efforts to pressure Moscow over Ukraine, has defended his energy ties with Russia, saying on Friday that pipelines are neither ideological nor political, but a physical reality due to the lack of ports. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 29 cents to buy $1 US. It costs 212 Jamaican dollars and 39 cents to buy the British pound, and it costs 113 Jamaican dollars and 16 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress.
But at an old time something. That's where I save my money in the bank. And because I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So, what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714 to 5 or 876-754-3825 to 8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
The University of Technology Jamaica advises that in-person and online classes resume Monday, November 10 at the Papine, Waterwinter Drive, Saipen Road and Dome Street campuses. Barnett Street and Otrius remain closed. For updates, visit www.utech.edu.jm, the student portal, or WhatsApp us at 658-213-5380. University of Technology Jamaica, recovering and rebuilding stronger.
They've lost homes.
Everything is gone. Have no house, have nothing.
They've lost power.
No water, no food, no light, no bed. Jamaican people need desperate help.
Some haven't heard a familiar voice in days.
The last thing I said to my sister, please be safe. And that was the last time.
For others, hope is starting to ebb. But together, we are rebuilding Jamaica, one parish at a time.
We have to try. We have to try. Can't give up.
Join Nationwide 90 FM from November 21 to December 19, every Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and St. Elizabeth, helping families and communities rebuild after Hurricane Melissa.
And you can help too.
Bring your donations, non-perishable food, water, hygiene products, lighting, or recovery supplies to our office at 14 Ocean Boulevard, the Digital Building, downtown Kingston.
Let's show the true strength of our nation: unity, compassion, and care. Together, we can rebuild lives and restore hope. Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs, and loan entertainment. Come on the road with me. Because when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. Don't forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome, the Shell Boss, I'm gonna make a bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tune. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
Hi, I'm Lori Gale from Oasis, advising of a change in our program focus, November 5 to 18. We do a shift from reading the Word to living out the Word. Host Roland Gale will speak with heads of churches regarding their intervention in getting our lives back on track following Hurricane Melissa. Be sure to join Roland and his guests on Oasis beginning Wednesday, November 5, 12:55 p.m., with a repeat at 5:45 a.m. Only on Nationwide, the new revolution in media. Let's all be praying for our nation.
Welcome back. You're with us nationwide at 5 on another Friday, and just want to, of course, recognize our listeners and also our YouTubers who continue to be very active. I'm with you, Professor Donna Hope, and of course my able co-host on the other other side of the program here with us, Tyrone Reed. Tyrone, that is your cue, and I'm, in that voice. You're supposed to come in with the big voice.
All right, give me a Dover, and I'm Tyrone Reed.
And yes, and so we are here, Tyrone, and we had a story prepared to look at the tourism impact, but we have to move to our other story because, of course,
difficulty connecting with
the connectivity,
them, right?
Especially out west, is difficult with regular lines because of the down cell tower. So we are moving to another conversation about the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. This is a story dear to my heart. I'm a pet parent. We're looking at the impact on animals and livestock because they too have been impacted. Are you a cat
or a dog person?
I am a large dog person. My dog is a large
Cliff.
Dog. Yes.
Like Cliff, yes.
Yes, Cliff has large dogs. Cliff has large and extra large. I have a large. And so we are also looking out for the animals, not just pets and domesticated animals, but also other animals who are impacted because, as we know, Hurricane Melissa has left a trail of devastation across Jamaica, and she has not only damaged homes and infrastructure, but it has also impacted the animals and livestock on our island, Jamaica.
From poultry farms and cattle herds to household pets and community shelters, many animals have been affected by the storm's powerful winds and flooding. The losses have hit farmers hard, threatening food security and livelihoods in rural communities. And of course, I was sharing with our producer, Prof, that I saw someone saying that their cat has not gone outside since the passage of Hurricane Melissa, and I think the person was suggesting that might be a traumatic response from their cat in response to what was a very, very terrible system to have endured.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I'm not certain if we can get some information from the people who know a lot more about animals, who should be able to assist us in getting some insight into whether or not that can happen. Founder of the Negril Pup Rescue, Dominique Chapman, is with us, and Managing Director of the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the JSPCA, Pamela Lawson. Top of the evening to you. Welcome to Nationwide
ladies. Welcome. Good to have you. And I have to declare, Tyrone and ladies, that I am a JSPC person. We do JSPC, so we give kudos, and I follow the Negril Pup and Rescue, Montego Bay Animal Haven, Lost Dogs Jamaica, JSPC, all these pet and animal friendly communities on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and we contribute in whatever way we can because, of course, animals are also an important part of our ecosystem and our livelihoods. So thank you so much for joining us, ladies. And we want to talk really about Melissa. And before we go into the actual what happened with the animals, we want to know what kind of damage did you sustain or had to deal with your own establishments, and what have you been doing so far? Dominique?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know it was for. All right. Well, we're in the middle of building a hurricane shelter with a container, and we weren't quite finished, so we did have dogs in there. We moved them out of our kennel, but we unfortunately had some outside as well in kennels. We had about 45 dogs in the house with us, and it's a tiny house. Basically, we lost a lot of kennels. We lost roofs off other kennels. But all the dogs were safe. Okay. We made it safety. But, I'm sorry about the noise. I'll move and see if I can get quieter here. Sorry. We had about 90 dogs, so...
Yes, we can hear the dogs in the background. So while you're situating yourself, Dominique, we could bring in Pamela Lawson to tell us what damages did they sustain, JSPC, or outlying, attachments to JSPC, and what have you been doing since the Hurricane Melissa passed?
Right. Well, thank you very much for having me. But JSPCA Kingston did very well. We had a team of 5. We kept the lights running so that we could provide assistance to people outside as well as here. We were working throughout the entire hurricane. We sustained very minimal damage, so we kept ourselves going. Port Moore, unfortunately, did have flooding, and Montego Bay Clinic was badly affected, very badly. Yes. But we are still operating all 3 clinics regardless. That's wonderful.
Pamela Lawson, what just dawned on me as Prof was talking about how actively she's engaged with animal safety and the well-being of animals. I thought about those animals that are not in the care of an agency like the JSPCA or Negril Pup Rescue, who had to brave the storm, perhaps. We often refer to them as stray dogs, and hopefully that's not a politically term, please forgive me. What would have happened to those animals that did not have anyone to care for them?
Well, animals are amazing creatures. I mean, even with livestock, we tell people do not.
Well, one moment, I think we are having 2 responses at the same time. I think.
Sorry. Let's take Lady Pamela, and then you can come in afterwards, Dominic.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, animals. Even with livestock, we tell people do not confine their animals, except for, of course, poultry. So stray dogs, cats. I mean, I have 2 feral cats, even by my own premises. They're totally wild, but they're neutered, and they come for their feed. And they were drier than I was. Mm-hmm. They really were, because we had to open up our house, because I'm in Newcastle, and let the wind in. And I had my dogs inside, I had my cats inside, but animals are just so resourceful. They're amazing creatures. They know before that something's happening, and they know to take proper shelter. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think Dominique was coming in. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, like I was saying, we feed a lot of street dogs in the community, and they've all survived. We were really happy about that, but like Pamela said, they know to hide. And so, they made it. We haven't heard of any animals dying in our community.
Oh, interesting there.
And one of the survival skills, and one of the things that happens when you have pets at home and you have something occurring like a storm, thunderstorm, they are aware of what will happen. So if you pay a lot of attention to their responses prior to the approach, you can kind of begin to estimate what might happen in your surroundings. But we saw some images. I saw images, for example, Dennis Brooks of Nationwide, but also of the JCF, posted images of dogs that he saw down in the middle of the catastrophic areas. And so pets who have lost their homes and maybe not, lost their families, more domesticated animals who are now without the care and protection that they are used to. Have you been receiving any of those, and have you been able to reunite any with their owners, especially for you in Negril, Dominique?
Mm-hmm. We haven't had any. We've had a lot of people come to get dog food because they have nothing.
Yes.
They don't have food for themselves. We have solar, so we were extremely lucky. We have a fridge and a freezer, and so people have been bringing, water bottles, and we've been freezing them for them. But all their animals are fine, except they need the extra food.
So the main
do you have anyone taking the animals to you for temporary care because they have lost their homes? Any situation like that?
Not in our community, and no one has reached out. Right now, unfortunately, we wouldn't even know where to put them because we've had so many kennels damaged, and we can't add more dogs to the 90 that we have without separating them and not causing fights.
So then, beyond the immediate rescue and care that you normally engage in at the JSPC at the Negril Pup and Rescue, what are some of the long-term challenges for groups like yourself after a disaster like this? When you talk about the kennels not being, that being damaged, what are some of the immediate and the long-term challenges that you face going forward?
Yeah, we have to rebuild, basically, because we have so many dogs, and now we don't know where to put them all because of the damaged kennels. And there's a huge kennel that was totally destroyed. So it had 6 dogs in it, so they've been totally homeless. So they're inside the house with us. It's rebuilding and finishing the hurricane shelter. That's basically, and getting dog food in and helping the neighbors with their dogs and animals.
Yes. And I have seen on their website, on Instagram, and also shared in some of our community groups that True Pet Food is offering free dog food as a part of hurricane relief efforts. So on their Instagram pages, and also sharing, there's a Google document that you can complete, and they will provide you. Yes, and so if you
that is correct.
We can if you have not seen, I will share the information afterwards, because they do have that opportunity being granted for dogs, and it's mainly dog food that True Pet is offering, but at least it's a part of it. But in a lot of ways, some of the images that we have seen coming, for example, out of Montego Bay, I know the Montego Bay Animal Haven also lost some of its areas that they used to take care of the animals, and they have been receiving dogs from individuals who need to at least board them for a while because their homes have been damaged. So there's that happening, cats and dogs. But have you also in Negril, Dominique, seen any impact on animals that are not domesticated, like dogs, birds, other animals that are part of the ecosystem? Have you been seeing any of that or in contact with any of that?
I have, but I can't say they're acting any different. I know, a bunch of our dogs now, when the thunder starts or lightning, they are terrified. They're shaking so hard. It's really sad to see. They're totally traumatized from it.
Yes.
So I imagine there's other animals, like street animals, that are feeling the same. Yeah. It's sad.
I think you will find, though, that the bees in particular, and bees they are what keeps this world alive. And the bees are extremely hungry. If you go I went to all the west. I went around to Negril, and I went back round on the weekend gone. And I can't lie to you, I noticed how many bees were coming in. And we realized, put down sugar and water, and sure enough, they feed immediately. And yes, we are putting in plans. We're bringing in feed actually for bees and for the apiary industry. We've made contact with bee owners. We're working with the Greater Good Charities, who will be helping us bring in these supplies. They should be landed this weekend. We are also distributing animal feed.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about just companion animals.
Yes.
A country that cannot feed itself or will not get back on its feet. We have got to protect our livestock industry. We have to get them back up on their feet. So we are JSPCA in conjunction with Nutrimix and their veterinary team. We will be going into a lot of these communities. We have a large clinic going on in St. Elizabeth next week, and we're hosting something at the RADA clinic in Santa Cruz on Wednesday, where we will also be going out to the farmers. We're planning to go into Montego Bay, into Anchovy, and those areas that were hard impacted, and provide basic veterinary care, get supplies in, and also I'm going to be very strong about this. We cannot go into these communities with all this food or supplies for animals and not think of the human.
Yes.
So we are going to combine humanitarian aid as well as animal aid.
But Pamela Lawson, JSPC, and the work that you are doing, you spoke about the bees, and I know sometimes people might think that these are very trite conversations. We're talking about the bees. Can you remind us of the connection between the bees, pollination, and our general ecosystem for food?
Exactly.
Please remind us of that.
It is critical.
Yes.
It is a scientific fact. If you have no bees, this world will end.
Yes.
We will have no pollination of the plants. There will be no crops. There will be no fruit and vegetables. This world will cease. And so it is a vital part of our recovery. I've heard from many of the people who are into bees how many hives they've lost, tremendous numbers. And when you think of a hive running 20 to 80,000 bees, and a person tells you they've lost 15 hives in this storm, do the math.
Yes.
Very tremendous impact.
How can listeners and viewers who are tuning in get involved with the work that both your organizations are doing? Beginning with you, Dominic Chapman.
Have we lost? I think we lost Dominique because she's in Westmoreland, and so we could continue. Yes, with
right.
Yes.
That was my frustration when I was doing the tour.
Yes. So Pamela Lawson, JSPCA Kingston.
Right.
What your response?
But our response right now, I think we have to do what we can for our own brothers and sisters. We have got to help our country, and yes, you could help JSPCA, but we are here to help you. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it.
So is there a call for volunteers to work with the teams that are going down, and how can people sign up to assist if they so desire? And we're talking not just about domesticated animals, as you remind us, but animals, livestock farmers. I saw several farmers calling out on social media that they have run out of food for their pigs. They have pig farms, they have no food. So we are seeing the concerns coming in, and the ripple effect of this will be felt in a short time.
Well, I know for a fact when Christmas comes, if we're not careful, we won't have those wonderful Christmas dinners, will we?
Yes, and so
and we all love that. But I mean, yes, by all means, if people want to, say, volunteer or come in and assist, you can email us at JSPCA@yahoo. Tell us what your strengths are. That is always important. If you want to help even at the clinic, we're not going to say no. Just give us an email, drop us a line. It's hard with the phone lines at the moment. I won't lie to you, half of our phone lines are down still.
Yes.
But you can try and call us on 876-929-0320. But email us at JSPC@yahoo. I make sure to answer all of the emails.
JSPC@yahoo, and that's for JSPCA Kingston, and you would mainstream it. You would spread it out to the other JSPCA branches across. Yes.
That is correct.
And I think we have Dominique back with us. Dominique?
Yes, hi.
Tyrone, you had posed a question. Yes.
Right. I had asked, Dr. Pamela, pardon me, had responded to it, but we're asking in terms of how can listeners, viewers who want to get involved with the work that you're doing post the passage of Melissa, get in touch with you or donate, sign up to volunteer? What are the procedures?
Well, right now we're getting some aid from the U.S., so they'll be coming in tomorrow and the next few days to help out, probably to remove trees and stuff like that, and provide dog food and veterinary medicine, I think. If volunteers, the best thing would be to buy dog food if they can get it, or even when we get enough, we're going to give some out. But just feed the street dogs. Help the people by feeding their dogs so they don't have to worry about it, and then the people can try to feed themselves. But it's going to be hard. Like, everything is so expensive already. Someone was telling me, for example, they bought a pound of onion, a pound of carrots, and a small cabbage for 1,600 J's. So people are going to have such a hard time, they're not going to feed their dogs if they can't feed themselves. So if we can help the animals and, other people can help the people, that would be great.
Indeed. And as a connected conversation, Tyrone, I know JSPCA Kingston is primed to move from its current location, Pamela Lawson.
Right.
How is that, that move impact, or that move that is imminent, impacting on your own work for this Melissa period?
Well, I have been a bit naughty because we were clearing the property and we were making inroads to set up even a temporary facility while we construct our permanent home. The area it is very flood prone, and it did put everything on a bit of a hold. But by all means, we have started back up actually just yesterday, and we are still going to proceed. But my priority right now is to get feed out there, get medical care out there, to help people in general, and to help this country get back on our feet. I mean, we're little, but we're Talawa, and we're going to get through this, but we have to do it together.
Indeed.
I want to ask you before we have to close, ladies, about the psychological side of things that we touched on earlier. But could you just repeat for us, both of you, how can donations be sent to your organization? Someone in our YouTube chat is asking, how can they send donations? Beginning with you, Miss Pamela.
Like I said, we have on our page, but I can always send out the information if they email us. I can give them banking information, etc. To be honest, like I said, what's one of the most important commodities for anybody who's working with animals? Newspaper. It's the hardest thing nowadays to get with the digital age raging, but it is such a precious commodity. Towels, old towels, newspapers, things like that. Just drop them off at any of our facilities. We welcome them. We really do. And I will be getting food out. Even to you guys in Negril, we already started, and we are going to get them out to as many communities as possible. Nice.
Indeed. Dominic Chairman, how about you? Could you just repeat how can donations be sent to you?
Yes, we have a website, so it's www.negrilpuprescue.com. And on the website, there's a place where you can donate and it accepts all different payments. Also, you can do PayPal, and that would be negrilpuprescue@gmail.com. And then Canadians can send e-transfers, and that would be to my own, Dom Chapman 68@gmail.com.
Well, all right. And in terms of the psychological side of things now for pet owners, I think it was a pet owner who has a cat who said her cat hasn't been outside since the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
Yes.
And the thinking was that it appears that the entire ordeal, has had an impact on her cat. Psychologically, if I can say that. Pamela Lawson, how would you advise pet owners who are noticing this kind of change in the behavior of their pets?
Well, he is quite correct, because even my own cat won't go outside at the moment. But I just leave the door open. If she wants to go out, she will eventually. She just needs to she's become very jumpy, very nervous, very stressed. I just let her just feel calm. It's the only thing you can do, just like even as humans. I think I personally can tell you I have PTSD. And I think anybody who had to experience what we did would have it. It is a stressful thing. Our animals also pick up from how we feel. If owners are stressed,
yes,
and they were traumatized by the ordeal, the animal will be stressed. Right.
And this extends this extends from domestic animals also to livestock.
That is correct. Equine, yes.
Yes. And yes.
That's true.
Dominic, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I agree with Pamela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. They pick up on our emotions.
That's right.
So you need to tell your friend that he needs to put his emotions in check as well.
Indeed. That's the owner of the cat, his or her, the owner of the cat, the owner of the domestic animals, indeed. And so we have work to do, and we will try to share the information, JSPC at Yahoo, the information about how to donate, where to donate, so that persons who are interested in getting involved in the effort. We're doing a lot of humanitarian work in Jamaica right now. A lot of people are focused on people, getting them relief and help, but also the animals who are an important part of the ecosystem, right across to the very bees who pollinate our plants and ensure that they can then flower and fruit. Biology 101, very important, that's very important for many of us who understand the role of these animals in the ecosystem and the food that we eat and the kind of food security. So we look forward to hearing more from you about the work that you're doing at the JSPCA, Pamela Lawson, at Negril Pup Rescue, Dominique Chapman. And we want to thank you so much for looking out for a lot of our furry friends, not so furry friends, feathered friends and others. No, JSPCA does birds, they do many things.
Nice.
And other animals, goats, a lot of animals. When you go there, a lot of different
and even the zoo animals.
And the zoo animals, yes. I mean, birds, I've had problems with birds I find we take them down to JSPC. They try their best with limited resources to do for animals, and so contributions and support are always welcome. So I want to thank you so much for helping with that aspect of our lives and the kind of companionship, but also the general welfare of Jamaica and our food security as we move through what is a very difficult time in our country. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much indeed. Yes, Tyrone.
And this is what it means about recovering on all fronts, right?
Yes.
We have to consider the animal population as well.
No, but Tyrone, I saw there was an article about, I think, a biologist or someone from outside of Jamaica who had come in to secure bees. The comments were very odd, and I recognize that many times Jamaicans are not as au fait with what these things mean for the long-term food security. Literally, the food security.
Symbiosis. We have to be very, very familiar with the symbiotic relationship that we share with the animal kingdom,
and the fact that they actually
and
feed
how they
us.
Contribute to our existence.
Yes,
Exactly.
and it sounds very simple. And Professor Ope talking about bees. It's not about the bees. It's about us surviving and being able to get food. If the plants are not pollinated,
people not connecting the dots.
If the plants are not pollinated, those flowers don't get pollinated. But if the plants that flower, they will not bear fruit because they will not be. It's almost as if they are mating. The bees carry the pollen on their legs whenever they move from flower to flower, and they transfer the pollen to the ones that need to be pollinated, and that creates a response. Then the nature takes its course. A fruit is formed. The fruit matures. We pick it. We eat it. It sounds simple, but it's a very complex process that needs the bees. So we have to also protect that small, tiny animal who allows us to continue to live and thrive. Jamaica, our food security is critical in this period, and we have to work towards it. Yes.
Birds and the bees. You're beating and teaching here.
No, but I have to, because sometimes there's some comments and the people talk, and I'm like, this is something that is so critical, sounds so simple. It's like, we're not going to talk about that now. Let's talk about politics. These are critical things.
No, you're absolutely spot on, Doc. And it's not as some people say, it's not sexy, but it is very important, and people don't recognize that, if we don't protect the bee population, lots of people who depend on fruit for their daily sustenance, you might end up dying of hunger because there are no bees.
We can't buy everything across a shop counter. We can't buy everything across a shop counter. We need to also be able to pick some of them and reap some of them, and so that's an important part of it indeed.
And many people in rural Jamaica, a significant part of their diet comes from the fruit trees.
Yes, and so we have to ensure that and the trees will bounce back. The ones that have not been toppled and broken totally by Hurricane Melissa, they will spring forward in far more abundance in another few months, because this is a part of their own life cycle. They will be back. As human beings and as animals, we also have to ensure that we are there to, protect and receive the bounty of the earth. So this is critical for all of us. I think we need to take are we supposed to take a break? We're going to take a break and come back, and we should see if we get our tourism conversation together. Stay with us.
Indeed. Stay with us.
The Pink Run, a corporate wellness challenge, encourages physical activity, healthy eating, and age-appropriate health checks. Remember, early detection saves lives. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is
7:11 p.m.
The University of Technology Jamaica advises that in-person and online classes resume Monday, November 10 at the Papine, Ortorinto Drive, Saipen Road and Dome Street campuses. Barnett Street and Otrius remain closed. For updates, visit www.utech.edu.jm, the student portal, or WhatsApp us at 658-213-5380. University of Technology Jamaica, recovering and rebuilding stronger.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and I think we're going to try and go with our story, our tourism conversation. That should have been our nation's business, because we have, I think, gotten through to one of our guests who should be coming on with us. And so Devon Mitchell is the guest that we now
He's
have.
the president of the Ocho-Rios Craft Council, yes.
And as a part of this conversation, we know that several big hotels in St. Anne have shut their doors or have significantly scaled back operations in the wake of the damage that Hurricane Melissa has caused. Nationwide News toured sections of the parish on Tuesday and found a mix of despondency, pessimism, and hope among the people. Among the hotels that suffered the worst damage was the Bahia Principal in Runaway Bay. Yes.
Now the managing director of that hotel, Jene Guerra, sounded upbeat as he forecast that operations would resume on November 15. He says hundreds of workers and their families are staying at the hotel, given the damage to their homes. At Rio Hotel in Ocho-Rios, workers came and went randomly, indicating that it was not business as usual.
Nationwide was also told that the guests were being accommodated at another Rio property that had serious damage. Other reports, such as from Cardiff Hotel and Spa in Runaway Bay, remain open, but operations have been scaled back significantly, and the Hyatt Hotels announced earlier the suspension of operations at 8 of its partner hotels in Jamaica following extensive damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. The company says all affected properties will remain closed until January 31st, 2026.
January, so that's next year. Joining us to discuss further this issue of the tourism sector and its response, so it's rebounding after the passage of Hurricane Melissa, is President of the Ocho-Rios Craft Council, Devon Mitchell. Top of the evening to you, Mr. Mitchell. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good evening, Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, and thank you very much to have me on your program.
Welcome. Good. Tell us, Mr. Mitchell, how has the Hurricane Melissa affected craft vendors and small tourism businesses in Ocho-Rios?
Well, first, I must say that, it has been extremely disadvantageous, for the craft sector. Because as we all know that we have just coming out of COVID, that create a serious impact on, on the craft industry here in Jamaica. Yes. And same as, we are about, to bounce back. And now we are approaching a tourism season. And, to face this disaster, I can tell you that it's really, really devastating. But one of the things that really, console us a bit is to know that we are Jamaican and, Jamaican, we are resilient, you understand, and we are very, very God-fearing, and we know that with the help of Jehovah God, we will, we will bounce back.
Sooner.
But it has been...
Yes.
Pardon me?
No, bounce back sooner rather than later. We bounce
sooner than later. Yeah. But it has been really
as
hard.
they say in the streets.
It has been really hard. I mean, for the craft industry, because one of the reasons why things has been so disadvantageous, I mean, for the craft industry, because it has been really hard. I mean, for the craft traders, ever since. I mean, to get businesses, I mean, to come to their market.
Yes.
Right, and we have to be fighting. I mean, for that from ever since. So things has been always hard. I mean, for the craft sectors and the craft industry. But with this atrocity that take us right now, I can tell you that it's put us right back. I mean, to square one. Some people has been badly affected here in Ocho-Rios. But if I should even put the cap on as a national president for the craft industry here in Jamaica, I can say that even though we are very sympathetic, I mean, with the people here in Ocho-Rios, we are also more sympathetic, I mean, with the people on the western side of the island. Because when you go to Montego Bay, when you go to Negril, those craft markets down there has been badly affected. When you talk about the Harbour Street craft market, I have gotten some report from there, not really a comprehensive report, but there are some bits and pieces where people have lost their shop completely. At the Old Fort Craft Market, people have lost their roof completely. So it is even more devastated, I mean, for those people on that side of the island. And, you know...
I understand. Understandably so, Mr. Mitchell. I hear you mentioning the damage to the physical infrastructure, perhaps where people operated from. But in terms of being able to secure the craft itself, how much of that damage was sustained and in terms of loss to the craft itself, what people were able to produce? Were your members able to secure much of the craft, or were they left exposed in the shops as well?
75% of them was able to secure their merchandise within the shop. But some of them has been badly damaged because of the rain and so on, and with the clothing items and so on. So if it's for the wood part, it's not bad. But when the clothing items get wet, they lost that completely. So I would say that 75% have been secured, the other 25% has been damaged.
So then,
and that is what I have. That is what I gather presently
from the feedback from the members, from your
Most
members.
Definitely.
So
Most
tell me,
definitely.
Devon Michelle, like in the regard of uses, people have lost their area where they put their stock, where they sell from. Some have lost goods or have goods significantly damaged. Are there any immediate needs that your members have? Any kind of support system that could help the craft vendors recover more quickly from the passage of Hurricane Melissa? Anything that you see that they need or that they tell you?
There is nothing presently that I can say distinctively that within the organization budget. So the only thing that we have to be depending on right now is the governmental body of the country, to see if they can assist us, in which they always try to even do things, to try to mitigate some of the problem that we are facing. And I can give them the credit for that, because I can remember even in COVID, we have gotten care packages and so on. But at this time, I think within myself that what has been happening, to the craft industry right now is even worse than COVID, by far.
Yes. So have you been in touch with the people? For example, I know the
Right.
Ministry of Tourism has a Tourism Resilience Committee or the task force out of the ministry. Have you reached out to them, or have they reached out to you?
I don't.
Right.
There is no one reach out to me as yet, and I don't get the chance. to reach out to anyone as yet. And I'm not going to say that maybe they didn't try, because we have a telephone. We have a telephone downfall system. And maybe that's the problem, right? Because even you yourself were trying to get me early on, and it was very, very difficult. So we're just getting back some service now. So I think maybe in the coming week, we'll see the best possible way we can have some conversation about all of these things.
So you're confident that the craft vendors will have a seat at the table once the communication systems are up and running?
Very much confident. I think that we have a government that's very caring, right, and they understand. So very much confident. I think that we'll be having a seat at the table in order to help to mitigate the problem that the craft traders are now facing. Yeah. And as I said before, this is not just about orchards. It's about the craft industry right across the island.
Indeed.
Especially those in Montego Bay and Negril.
And so, Devon Mitchell, for the members stretched across the island, as well as for your members who are other members based in Orcharias, are there any system that you are planning to put in place so that people can donate directly to the Craft Vendors Association?
That is something that I have. Yes. That is a conversation that I have been having with the national organization secretary, Ms. Keisha Elliston. We have been a conversation up to yesterday, and one of the things that we are contemplating right now is to maybe have like a GoFund thing put in place where we can get some assistance, because we understand. We understand the nature of this hurricane, right? And we don't really want to just sit back and leave everything on the government. You understand? So we have to do things, to try to help ourselves, in the interim.
Indeed. And so we look, when you do put those efforts in place and those measures in place, we expect that you will share them so that they can be spread widely, so people can also contribute to the efforts at, recovering on behalf of the craft vendors, not just in Orcharias, as you see, but right across the island, including the main affected areas, people in Negril, in Westmoreland, in Montego Bay, St. James, and other areas. So we look forward to hearing some of that, and we want to congratulate you and the team so far for your spirit of resilience comes through very strong in this phone call, this talk that we are having here. I want to keep your faith up, and so because you sound very resilient and sound as if you are you're committed to the process of rebuilding and building out on behalf.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And when we bounce back this time, I know that we're going to bounce back 10 times better than what we were before the storm.
All right. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Devon Mitchell.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Indeed.
Thank you. Indeed. Speaking
have
a
good one.
Yes, good day. Thanks, and have a good weekend, Devon Mitchell. And of course, Tyrone, Devon Mitchell speaking very, very resiliently and very confidently that the craft vendors, not just at the Orcharias Craft Council, but across the Jamaica, that they will bounce back, as he says, 10 times stronger. We do hope that the efforts work out,
And I was it was good to hear him speak with a certain degree of confidence in the help that will be provided by the government, and they have a point of reference, which is, he says, in COVID, which was also the world hadn't seen anything like COVID in about 100 years, and so he says, we have that as a basis on which to say that we believe that the government is going to come through with the assistance for the industry that it needs. So let's keep watching it, and the craft vendors deserve a seat at the table as we seek to plan to get the tourism sector back up and bouncing, as we say, out in the streets.
Yes, indeed. So we hear a lot of timelines. Some people are saying November, early November, December, but we also see, as we see with the Hyatt group of hotels, January, the end of January next year. So there's a lot out there, and also the cruise ships that usually come in. The craft vendors depend a lot on cruise ships as well, depending on where they are located, and the tourism arrivals. This is the winter tourist season, and some of it will be lost because of Hurricane Melissa. So we look forward to what can happen on behalf of the different people.
I would think about, Prof, those hotels that are, lending the facilities to their employees.
Yes.
And if they can get back up and running quickly, and they start accepting guests, what will happen to the employees who might not be able to recover as quickly as perhaps the hotel would? what would happen to those individuals? We have to think about that as well.
I suppose we'll have to get other tourism officials in on Nationwide to help us answer some of those questions and see what plans and strategies are being put in place for the tourism workers at that level.
And we need to give voice to the workers, right? So we need to get someone. I don't know if there's a body that represents the tourism workers, but definitely would need to give a voice to the workers as well, to hear what they think about the recovery.
And what the needs are in their own sector. What are their current needs and present needs?
Absolutely.
And what they want to have, looked at for them as we go through this recovery period. It's a very difficult time for many people, and we have to ensure that our different sectors are being pulled up and forward as we go through this post-Melissa period and move into the recovery trial. It's very difficult on the ground for many people at all levels and in all sectors.
I mean, just judging by looks alone, I might be a little older than you, Prof.
No, you are not. Trust me, you are not. Tyrone, I keep on seeing the people in the YouTube, Trust me on that, you are not. But I'll take it as in the spirit it was intended.
But we haven't seen anything like this in our modern history. This is new terrain for us, which is why I think there needs to be a little leeway. Missteps are going to be made. We need to give each other a bit more grace in terms of just see if we can all pull in the same direction, right? But ultimately, it is a difficult time.
A united Jamaica.
Sure people appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a united Jamaica is important. What I'm very heartened by is the relief opportunities and efforts. The people, everyone springing up. I have everyone around me, every colleague, every group, every friend, everything. People are flooding. They are trying their best to go to the areas to help, to deliver, to give, to share. And I know, see the mental health opportunities coming up. People are now understanding as well that people's mental health have been affected, and they are putting in opportunities for counseling. I saw Dr. Sophia Longmore and a team of psychiatrists putting together an effort there to go in and help people in these areas, as well as outside of the areas. All of us in Jamaica have been affected, as well as people in the diaspora looking on, worried about their So a lot of mental health effort. It's been a difficult time. We have lost people, we have lost homes, we have lost animals, we have lost property, livelihoods have been lost. It's quite a heavy journey.
Absolutely. Group therapy is definitely needed, and it would be good to see that kind of group therapy taking place on the ground. And as you rightly say, there are people in the diaspora who might not have gone through the ravages of Hurricane Melissa, but you don't feel any less battered.
Yes, a lot of them were not sleeping. They didn't sleep Monday into that, Tuesday into that Wednesday. They were watching from outside of Jamaica.
And it felt as if the hurricane was coming where you are, because that's how I felt while watching this system barreling, moving so slowly towards Jamaica. It was a tough time, and I can just imagine what it is like for those who actually experienced it. But we have to all try to pull in the same direction.
Yes.
Those in authority might not always get it right. We have to try to hold people to account, but we also there must be some way for more grace and for more leeway to say, all right, we didn't get it right here. Let's see if we can go in another direction, because we're staring down the barrel of a catastrophe that we've never seen before.
And I think Metro Siaga said it very well in that, our cover story, when he spoke about the fact that, there was never any blueprint really for what we're going through. So there will be mistakes and missteps, but nonetheless, we are going forward. And I really want us to go forward as one Jamaica, united forward, because at the end of the day, our country, for those of us who live in Jamaica and the Jamaicans in the diaspora, remains very important to our sense of self and who we are, and critical to our heritage. So we have to move forward. I think we're going to take a break and come back for the calls.
Right.
Yes.
So we're going to take your calls. So those of you who are listening and you want to call us, give us a call. No?
Let me give us the numbers. They are 876-630-9371 through to 3, through to 4, and 876-618-6730. Stay with us. We'll come back and take your calls.
Jamaica's poverty rate has dropped from 16.7% to 8.2%. As the government's economic program begins to pay off, our country is heading towards sustained growth. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
7:30 p.m.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper total tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Welcome back, Nationwide at 5, and we are now in the segment we're taking your calls. Of course, I'm your host, Professor Donna Hope, and my able co-host is with me, continuing the conversations, Tyrone. And we have Whodunit. We have Whodunit on the line. Hi, Whodunit, how are you doing?
Hi, Whodunit, how are you doing?
Yeah, present evening to both of you guys, and evening also to the listeners and YouTubers.
Yes.
We name are so numerous to call, but I've been watching reading the chat, you know. Some people wasn't really too okay with the animal care discussion, you know.
Yes.
But I can agree with you, Prof, that we have to, well, not everybody like animals, you know, but we have to take care of our animals. I feel, you know, a little bad that I didn't bring up my dog because I left at my home in Montego Bay and left some food with the neighbors, you know. But I've been following up and they said they've been feeding them some because what happened, you know, Montego Bay is really going to take some time to get back up, you know.
Yes.
And the roof fly off like flying saucer in the community that, you know, my residence is, but my house is okay.
But a flying saucer comment, is from the Gilbert. It's from the Gilbert, and just take off like flying saucer. The roof migrate without a visa. That song, yes. Wild Gilbert song. It was Love India as well. That's the saucer thing. That's why I said it like that. Yes.
Yeah,
37 years ago.
You break and give them a one Gilbert tune to survive them up in the Friday.
We can ask for that, yes.
Yeah, there are some little complaint, but I saw it going on. Some people don't really like animals and them going to the conversation not really their thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as we are in the recovery stage, you know,
yes.
I just want to pose a question to you and Tyrone. In terms of preparation for disaster and the hurricane season, whose responsibility is it to keep the country, to do the island-wide preparation and to update as to what the status is? Can you guys say it is just ADPEM or Desmond McKenzie who really is the prime person?
When you talk, when you make it, what he says, to do what? The preparation and the island-wide is. You have different points here: preparation and updates, and what else? Is more than one thing you put in that question.
Yeah.
Repeat it.
All right. I just want to know who is Monday, who is responsible to give us the update and the status before hurricane hit us. I mean, once a year, every year we have the hurricane season that begins from the 1st of June and ended the 30th of November. Now, who is responsible to give us an update as to the status of readiness, the status of hurricane preparedness to mitigate against disaster, etc., etc.? It comes under Desmond ministry that I'm just trying to.
Yeah, man. I think I understand what you're asking now, and I should be. So there are multiple persons who would speak depending on the portfolios that they was. So certainly the Minister of Local Government, because the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management was previously under the portfolio of the local government minister. So definitely you would hear from the head of the ODPEM, you'd hear from the local government minister, and of course you'll also hear from the folks at the Met Office who would advise us in terms of what to prepare for and so on and so forth. So it depends, and that's why you see multiple people speaking at these media conferences.
Yes, I think he's coming in because it's a preparation for a hurricane is a multi-sectoral approach, yes? Yeah. So apart from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, the local government, we also have the National Works Agency, the Water Commission, the JPS. So you see a lot of different, entities, public sector, mix up, public and statutory. They have to come in and give the updates as to readiness. And I remember JPS coming on this program the Friday before Melissa and telling us that reminding us that they were bringing in, linesmen from abroad to help with the recovery effort, because was very proactive and has resulted in a lot of communities getting back power within days of Melissa, within less than a week, so to proactivity. So these are some of the entities and groups that would be giving information, not just ODPEM, not just the local government ministry, but a multi-sectoral approach that is critical.
The municipal corporations.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
One last quick point. All right. In light of what you have just said, the whole heap of people involved. But what I noticed, though, couldn't it now be mandatory for the MP to also provide an update on his constituency in terms of the readiness and the preparedness? And, it would be at them who would need to really get, or the Prime Minister would have to ask each MP to provide an update as to what is it, in other words, to divulge and to present to the Prime Minister their management mitigation skill against hurricane. So in other words, the MP would know certain things he should provide. In other words, it should be mandatory for the MP to provide a management, because what happens, we who are in the construction industry, we have to provide a preparation for disaster. Upon event that a disaster should strike, we would be able to say, this is what we are going to do, and this is what we plan to do, and so on. So because what has happened now, the project that I'm doing in Monster Bay, we have had flood come inside there about 4 feet beyond the proposed floor level, and it is a very high water table.
Oh.
And we had what you call it's almost an $8 billion project. The structure costs about $3.1 billion, and the equipment would cost about $4 billion. So it's a good thing those equipment don't go inside there as yet, because those equipment would have been ruined. So I don't know. It's really, but I'm just showing out that I think the politicians, the MPs, based on what we heard, some of them were just up about money. They have not done any assessment. They don't know what is happening in their constituency. They should be able, it should be mandatory for them to present a management disaster document and know the situation, what is happening in their constituency.
But I'm going to interject, because I know they are on both sides of the political fence. There are new MPs going in, and the elections were on the 3rd of September. What would be a better proposal would be that constituencies should have some kind of, document also prepared somewhere that is passed on each time to persons
Yes,
coming in so
for
they can
continue.
update in.
For
Right, but to say
continue.
that somebody comes in the 3rd of September for the first time and they have a plan ready is really unfair, I would say. But something that is
No,
made
but they would have
available.
a plan. You're
Yes.
right, because if it is mandatory, you know,
Yes.
that plan will have passed on to the new MP. Which is, you know what I mean? Which
Yes.
is a respectful thing to do, so they have a confidence, so they're not going to start from scratch, you know?
Right.
Anyhow, tomorrow is my birthday, and George and I...
You and George birthdays
So
tomorrow.
George has to kick off from early, you know, go fix up himself and
Yeah.
get things ready.
Happy
you know?
birthday when it comes tomorrow. Make sure you eat a lot of cake and don't let them throw flour and things on you. Tyrone never flour you yet, Tyrone. Flour you and bake cake. Flour and egg. Oh, Jamaicans are. We have to take another caller. Don't make them flour you and egg you because when you send the food down to the relief areas. So don't do that.
All right. All
right.
caller,
A
have
happy
good one,
birthday
and
when
have
it
a great,
comes.
enjoy the
Indeed.
birthday. Yeah, man. Bless up by your
Yes.
strong.
We have Bobby coming in. Hi, Bobby. How are you? Good evening.
And my good friend overseas.
How are you doing, man?
Well, I am okay, you know. I'm just, my heart, you know, goes out for the people, not really in my division, but down there in the western side of the country. But first, I want to say happy birthday to George. And George, when I see you, sir, I don't know if you drink Malta, but I am. Yeah, I'm gonna buy you some strong drink.
Yeah, you have some Malta and ice.
Malta not strong. You're gonna add something to it.
Right, you know, hot prof, but my good friend overseas, you know that I will wait until when he's coming to purchase another case. But hopefully, by the time him come, everything don't sell off and gone to St. Elizabeth, you know.
Well, the manufacturers tell us that we have more than stock and stock and stock. Don't worry about it. We're going to have stock and stock.
I would ask that you donate that case of Malta to the relief efforts, sir. I would appreciate that.
No, trust me, you know, my good friend Tyrone, you really have a conscience because, boy, from the other day, everything I spend is just going all the way down there, you know, because
I'm telling you, man.
Man, yes. But
yes.
But what I want to say, I must commend the Honorable Prime Minister and, you know, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. and Mr. Desmond McKenzie and the soldier who got secondment to add them in the office of the Prime Minister and all the technocrats and the way how they are dealing with the relief situation down in the western side of the country. I must say, you know, this Prime Minister, he knows how to manage things in times of disaster because it is the same way we see how we manage the economy with care package and so on throughout COVID, last year, burial and so on. So I must commend him. I know that he's tired, but I must also say to my good friend and boss, boy, Mr. Green, I am praying for you because you are both your constituency and the agriculture sector. And yeah, man, and I know as a young man, oh boy, we all have to pray for him, you know. And finally, I just want to tell you all that in my division, the Insom City division, you know, we didn't have any major damage and so on, but I must also commend my councillor, Mr. Jacob Kukon. You know, we all rally around the people throughout Elisa, and boy, he have done a good job. And right now, he's not here, he's all the way down in the western side of the country, and I am here trying to hold on things for him. But I just want to say we are okay over here, and we really thank God for that. But my prayers and my heart goes out for my brothers and sisters down there in the western side of the country. May God bless and keep them, and I'm asking the technocrats speed up more and more the relief efforts for them.
Yes.
Because, boy, you know, Prof, and Tyrone, I cannot sleep.
It's the images and the reports. I have a lot of people who keep going down, taking relief and coming back. And and when they come, it's almost like you have to put them in a decompression chamber to sort of help them breathe off some of the stress. It's very hard. It's very hard. We try to focus on the relief and on the recovery, because if you focus on the devastation that is down in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, places in St. James, you will lie down in a pool and not get up. You just lie in a pool of tears and not get up. People have to be trying to keep themselves mentally safe while doing the work and putting together. So the team at the helm, you just call the name, the Prime Minister, Desmond McKenzie, Daryl Vaz, Pernell Charles Jr., Floyd Green, a lot of these men and women, people out of ODPEM. You know, the Ravensworth man, that gentleman that was now secondary to ODPEM, is a Jago past student. All of these people, yes, so we are following a lot of that and behind the scenes on the ground, and we just want to encourage everyone to keep, as you say, healthy and strong, because it's a whole heap of work, and the mental pressures huge, but they are still resilient and working assiduously with the support, not just of locals in Jamaica and in the diaspora, but all of the governments that we see sending not just relief goods, but also troops and people to work on the ground. Very important. So, Bobby, we're going to have to leave it there and take another call, because I see them waving around, indeed. But thank you and have a good weekend.
Thanks, Mass Bobby. Have a good one. All right,
good one. And we have East Central on the line. Good evening, East Central. How are you doing?
Good evening, Prof.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Tyrone.
Greetings. My boss, Anglia Bangle.
Yeah, man, next end of the island. This side of the island has been damaged from top to bottom, especially St. James. And in essential St. James, where I reside, it has been devastated. The storm has been blowing from left to right. It keeps hanging on about 11 hours straight, Mr. Tyrone. That day when I cooked the dinner and it reached lunchtime, Mr. Tyrone, I nobody eat none. Because I just hope for the breeze pass and gone, and it hang on until about 8:15
p.m.
Yeah. So, Mr. Tyrone, outside of that, the life and livelihood of the residents of East Central has been disrupted from top to bottom. So, the most important thing is now the water. I know that Mr. Matthew Samuda said that he has 5 portable generators. I know that Dumfries has a well, which is on the Canaan side. It resides and it supports the community of Dumfries, Adelphi, Content, Goodwill, Port, Orange, Moore Park, Syme, Irwin, and we want some water to distribute, even for a day and a half, Mr. Tyrone, because many persons have been going to the spring. I had a difficulty with the spring now because people wanted to bathe just the same place where you wanted to catch the water. Nobody interested to carry a bath pan, go to the spring and catch the water. And that's the difficult part. With me, I would go into the spring because me carry my bath pan now. And me go one side go bathe. But you know, many people now have time to walk with a bath pan. Them just know so them walk at spring go bathe. And said place where you catch the water, said place them intend to bathe. So while catching the water, people wanted to bathe in the same space. And that's the real difficult and the real problem what is now. But turning on the pipe tap with, I know that there was water commission checking the water main within 4 days now, and I would like general feedback in terms of the water main that has checked and update and see how best we can get some water in the pipe, because even getting some water in the pipe, some of the people who had relatives could even come to as close as the home where people get some water in the drum and share it. But it's so difficult because so many persons have to go to the same catchment at the same time. It's very difficult, and it's a limited catchment as in spring. So that is the main focus, Mr. Tyrone. And outside of that, I see that the World Central Kitchen has been doing a good work down this side, because they constantly making rounds for people who is in a shut-in space and people who find it difficult to go to the
kudos to them. Kudos to them, and and the outlets, the food outlets in Jamaica who are working with them.
Yes, a lot of different areas have been donating. So you want them to give you an update, East Central, on the water supply for your area. Dumfries?
Yeah.
That's the
Dumfries,
area.
St. James.
St. James. All right, so we'll do the call out to ask for some update on that. But while you're using the spring water, drop like a bleach in it. When you put it, just collect it and put a drop of bleach in there, make it settle before you drink it. Since them bathing in it and doing everything at the same time, to be safe, to be on the safe side.
But outside of that, I wanted to say hi to Leroy Rotty, Miss Corinne Simmons, Kurt Buchanan, Marigold Weber, YouTubers, big up for yourself and always keep me on point. If it is that I make a simple error, always correct me. And thanks very much to the person who's out there on the ground doing all the good work.
All right, East Central. Thank you.
All
We're going
right,
to put
East
in
Central.
another
You
call
take
or
care,
two.
man.
Take care and have
All
a good
right, take it
weekend and
easy.
keep safe. Keep safe. Thank you. William, you're on with us. Good evening. Welcome.
Greetings, Master William.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening, Tyrone.
Good evening, William.
Good evening,
How you
Master.
do? How you doing?
Not bad, giving thanks and listening what's going on, But we just have to go and pray and hope for the best for those in the West there. Anyhow, tell me something. The Office of the Disaster Preparedness is the same office they just changing them and called ADPEN, right?
Yes, the ADPEM is the same office. It's the same office, yes.
ADPEM is the
It
acronym,
wasn't
right?
changed. It was that the ADPEM is a longer version, so they just shorten it when they say Office of Disaster Preparedness. The EM part of it was always there.
Oh, because to we use that. Well, anyhow, I realize now that the Prime Minister taking it over back in the office of the Prime Minister. So why they keep on flip-flopping with this office? Because it was in the office of the Prime Minister before.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, I thought it was always as like a statutory body that was
Local
connected to the
government.
local government ministry.
Right, that's
but
what I know.
kind of had a certain level of, it kind of stand by itself, but it connected to the local government ministry.
So
I
tell
don't
me something.
recall.
When it was at Jamaica House, it was under the office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica House?
Yeah.
I don't recall that. You'll have to, you have to update us on that. That was a long time ago.
Well, it's that move from Mango by Camp Road, by 12 Camp Road.
I knew it from Camp Road days. I literally used to do work with people there.
Yeah, ma'am, I speak
long
to
time.
there.
Yes.
Right, long time. But I used to work, not there, but the office where it come, I used to work a part of that office.
So what you're saying, William, is that it gone back to where it started from?
Right.
Would you consider that flip-flopping though, William? How many years ago would that have been if that's the case? And I'm not saying it is, but how many years ago would that
I
be?
think it's somewhere about 84, 85, somewhere in that time.
No, that hardly can be considered flip-flopping though,
Exactly. That's a long time because when I knew
Yes.
it was, and I know it on Camp Road and worked with them as some work we did through the university with them.
Yeah, man, that
team
time I
on
think
Camp
was
Road.
Mr. McDonald was the director when it come down by Camp Road. Before Major Reese, Commander McFarlane, you know all of them.
And then we had Barbara Carby, we had the other gentleman who is now, I think he's at UNDP, he left to go to Sedima. So we have had different people passing through as it
I think Dr. Barbara Carby was there once. Not sure if you've mentioned her.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
She's very well known.
No, I don't know. I'm not confirming whether or not that's the case. But here's the thing: there are people who do not agree with the shift. I think, listening to the Prime Minister, I think it makes sense.
And what I'm saying, you see, when it was at Camp Road, when Major Reese was there, when Gilbert, it was the main background of the disaster, They did have the full autonomy to do a lot of things, but now I don't see it. I see things pushed back in politicians, and it creates a problem where they don't use this office to be the main office to deal with this disaster. Instead of this politician create problem.
When you say create problem, William, what you mean by that?
If you listen down the west there, what's going on down there, who's politician getting this one, getting that. And it have argument. Which was the Office of Disaster Preparedness now, was the main office distribute out these things or whatever. I don't think it have this. Yes, so who say what am I going on with? Who say this, who get this, who for party get this, who not get this and this thing. It's happening.
So was it, because I'm trying to recall, ODPEM is normally dealing with the hurricane preparedness and the recovery efforts, but the relief efforts usually are spread across different groups, because of the way that the relief efforts come in, whatever is being put together. So you normally have different groups, not just government, but also private sector people and community groups who normally share in the relief efforts and bring in resources from all over the world. Embassies, all of these people are there. A lot of different groups are coming together.
I understand what I'm saying. I can recall of position to get involved in that. Like, no. Right? I can recall even Gilbert, although this time did much bigger than Gilbert, but Gilbert did a lot of damage. Cause some of us not get back like till our 6 months.
Yes.
All of them were there. But we never have this problem. So I think it should be go back to that office where the main stake of this problem when it came in, because that, I think that is why part of the office is there. Also the Red Cross.
Let's see what will happen. Let's see what will happen with the office. There's a new director general, and the office is now within the located in the office of the Prime Minister. It's under the portfolio of the OPM. So let's see what will happen from here.
All right. Can we? Yes.
We'll hope on something much more better.
All right.
More what we're hearing.
All right, William. Let's see what goes forward. Do we take another call? I think we can take on. And if we're taking another call while we are looking, you can call us. We are coming towards the end of the program. 630-9371-4 and 618-6730. I'm trying to read this thing from a distance, and the light is shining in my eyes, Tyrone. So I'm looking over there like I'm like, the light is glancing off my glasses, and I'm not saying that.
876-630-9371-4
and 618-876. Yes.
Yeah.
618-6730. Yeah, 618-6730. But I'm looking at the thing, and there's a blinding light, because they have to light you up when you're in this place to make you look decent on the high definition screens. But it is what it is. I say the YouTubers are carrying on.
You don't need the lights, Prof.
Flattery, I don't take on the flattery, because I see the YouTubers carrying on with all kind of things. But we have to be grateful in Tyrone that so many people are still pulling their weight and trying to add value to the relief and recovery efforts, because this is going to be years in the making. I remember Gilbert, and a lot of it took us 6 months. I'm probably into, let me say again, 6 months before we got back electricity, 6 months before we got back water in our pipes. The gorge was blocked for almost a year. I'm not asking people, I lived through that. We had to use the alternate routes, and the fares were doubled because it was like twice a journey, and people had to figure it out and go to work and school outside of those areas. So this is a different timeline. Power is being restored. Things are coming back, and the worst affected areas, a lot of attention is going there. So we have to be giving thanks for some development, even while we are working on the recovery efforts. We're not going to roll over and die. This
is a marathon, and we have to take it one day at a time. We can't take it 2 days at a time, no matter how good we are. Yes. We have to take it 1 day at a time. Put one foot before the other and take it 1 day at a time.
And when you need to rest, don't forget, when you need to rest, you pause and rest. When you need relief, you allow someone else to take over for you, because we have to those of us who are here beyond the storm have to survive and keep Jamaica moving forward. So a lot of opportunities are there to share, to donate, whether you're in Jamaica or outside of Jamaica. Official sources, supportjamaica.gov.jm is one, and there are many others through the different groups, the Food for the Poor, all of these groups that are there, the Red Cross, and many other groups. So give your time and your energy to the report, indeed. And we want to thank everyone, because a lot of people came in and worked with us today for the program, our guests on all the different aspects of the program. I want to thank everyone for coming in. Of course, our able producer, Dana Davey, our able engineer, Jerome, Mr. Boogs, and everyone behind the scenes. Of course, Tyrone, we have to give thanks to the callers and the listeners. And we want you to stay safe. And big up George on his birthday tomorrow. We can't forget. George, have a good birthday.
Big up yourself, Sir George. Amen.
Yes.
Anglia Bangle, and bless up our earth strong.
Indeed. And of course, we now take the break, and you stay with us for Nationwide coming up at 8. And I will be here next week, and you will stay with Nationwide throughout. Stay with us. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. I'm early. Good afternoon.
kid every